Good afternoon, Meatbags and other Meatbags. I'm John.
I'm Claire.
This is Many a True Nerd, and welcome to the end of all Meatbags. You will be exterminated this evening. Accept it with good grace and humility. Yes, it's Stellaris, but not the Stellaris we just left off on Sunday. I'm so sad I didn't get to show you this on Sunday. It was a real shame. I really wanted to kind of, wrap up the Utopia stream and then kind of say, and by the way, here's the new DLC. It's all very, very exciting. But sadly, I wasn't actually allowed to do that. I think it's Monday was the first day anyone was allowed to actually start showing off little bits of Synthetic Dawn. So you know what? I thought we'd just have a super chillaxed stream where, we could just kind of just look at this. Just look at this right now. Because all we're going to do, basically, is I'm just going to show you some stuff. This isn't the start of a new playthrough or anything, but I thought, we've actually got a fair few Stellaris fans in the community at this point, so I just thought, hey, it's coming out soon, you get to ask questions, and Claire will feed them to me, and as a result, we can actually look at them together, and we can learn about this new DLC. There's some really, really fun stuff. In fact, you know what? Speaking of which, let's just quickly move ourselves over to this right over here, and you'll probably notice some different stuff right away. I've kind of pre-set up an empire just so I can kind of walk you through some of this right now. So yes, there's some cool new stuff. I mean, I think particularly note, I really like the new portraits. Some of them more than others. Like, there's just kind of this fairly kind of boring bleepy. Ooh, hello. There's a... Oh, that's... I thought there was some glitch on screen. No, it's because I've named him One. The leader of the Empire is One, which is why it's saying One when I hover over him. That's actually pre-set up. So we've got kind of nice humanoid robots. They feel like, actually, I was about to say they look kind of friendly because they've got nice faces. Then I noticed he's got kind of what appears to be like a giant spike gun on his back, so arguably not so much. I really like this guy because when he brings his arm up, it goes crackle, crackle, crackle. He's got a crackly arm. He's like looking at his arm like he can't quite remember, whether he had a hand or not, or whether he replaced it with some form of cybernetic implant, which is quite nice. But some of the others are really, those two are kind of probably the weakest. My favourite one is actually probably this guy. I really like this guy with his little kind of... I'm not sure what he's a variant of. Hang on, if I go over to the... Is he like the... I don't know what he's a variant of exactly. Is it supposed to be a variant of like an arthropoid or a
turtle-y thing?
I don't know. I think maybe a shell. Like he's like a robot shell. He's got a little eye, but I like him because he's dangling from his wires.
Yeah,
he's
got like a cute turtle.
Yeah, like a robo-turtle. Then there's super badass bird dude. Like, this looks like, basically the robotized Birdman from Rick and Morty in super badass mode. I also like how he's basically got little kind of glow sticks stuck to his wings just for the sake of extra additional badassness, so I like kind of Robo-Birdman. Space Wasp, who looks really cocking evil.
Wasps are so evil.
Wasps are the most...
Wasps have no purpose.
Wasps are nothing but evil. And this guy looks pretty evil too. He just basically sparks. I think, actually, this is the plant one. Actually, I guess this guy's the plant one. I guess maybe this one's the mollusk one. So, sorry, the fungoid one. So I like him. He's like Mysterio. He's like
he's like a little.
He's quite cute.
Yeah, he's like Words are great. I know words. I was going to say he's like a jellyfish, and then
he is like a jellyfish. Yes, he is kind of like a jellyfish.
Because I'm so smart.
He's kind of like, but he's got a fancy collar, like he's a posh jellyfish. And then we've also got the Blorg, obviously everyone's favourite, the Blorg, a little kind of like plant centipede thing that's like half bug, half that. And of course, if you want to be classy, you can use the old traditional robot portrait. But these are all kind of the new portraits that we've got going on as much as you want. So yeah, some of them are kind of pretty cute, but the really interesting stuff isn't really so much in there, to be honest. The interesting stuff's kind of in the new Civics. So I'm trying to remember if there's anything kind of new. Oh, of course, we've kind of got a bunch of new name lists here for your Machine Empire. So, there's a whole bunch of new names and naming protocols, and for, leader names and ship names, there's 3 different variants of that. They've also got renamed traits. I think they get slightly different traits, which is interesting. So, for example, obviously, if it's a machine, everything that's a machine gets habitability plus 200%, leader recruitment cost plus 100%. Machines are expensive to recruit, but yeah, they can live literally everywhere. They've got pretty much the same traits as everyone else, but they've been renamed slightly. So, they get... things like power drills is one of them for minerals plus 10%, energy credits plus 10%. I think they get some slightly different ones. There's some changes that are just to the entire game, because this is not only Synthetic Dawn, this is also 1.8. I'm running 1.8 a little bit early. Claire's gesturing at me.
Yeah, so we've got a sometimes YouTuber in the chat saying that the old one is like the Moscoid one, the one that you're looking at right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The the avatars that you can see are in the same order as the appearance list.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
And also, we've got a whole lot of people supporting us.
Yeah, those of you who don't know, this may be confusing. If anyone's been asking what's that new thing that YouTube's now putting at the top of live stream saying sponsors, we learnt about this about an hour ago, which is why we're running a bit late, because we weren't sure what the bloody hell it was, so we were desperately trying to look into it. It's basically YouTube, they've basically looked at Twitch subs and said, we're gonna do that. Please don't ask, like, you know, whether it's like a better deal for the creator on Twitch or YouTube. I don't know, we haven't had time to look into it yet. It is basically a mechanism just like a Twitch sub of supporting a creator directly. I don't know what Twitch's cut is, and I don't know what YouTube's cut is, so I say I have no idea which is the more generous. So I don't know the details right now. What I do know is, very quickly I asked Claire to knock together a little kind of custom badge, so we do actually have a little M for the people who do choose to sponsor. And YouTube's got a weird exponential curve thing going on, where as you get more sponsors, you're allowed more custom emojis. So we're going to have some custom emojis coming in. By the time we reach Sunday, just a reminder from the Stellaris stream, we're going to do a big heat signature stream this coming Sunday. We'll definitely have some custom emojis ready to go there. I might have a chat with some of our lovely guys over on the Discord stuff, because they've made some lovely emojis, so I might have a chat to them, see if we can kind of adapt or use or create some similar ones to that sort of thing. That would be very, very nice indeed. But yes, actually, there's some changes to the entire game, because yes, I'm running 1.8 as well. This is 1.8 early at the same time. So the way leaders work has completely changed. So in the previous game, leaders were capped, I think it's at level 5, that's as high as they can get, and various perks and benefits said leaders just get +2 experience. Like all leaders started off with, say, if you recruit an admiral, they'd automatically start at, say, at 3 stars. Now let's change. Now the leader level cap goes up, so as a result, yeah, you can, like, you know, you can get your admirals and your governors up to level 7, and then with more perks up to 8, 9. I'm not sure what the absolute hard cap is. I'm not sure what theoretically the max you could get up to is at this point. But obviously this gives robots a big advantage, because if you theoretically can get like an admiral up to like level 13 or something, and as a result get like fire rate up 60% and the ridiculous benefits to fleet damage, then obviously immortal leaders are incredibly useful. So psionic chosen one immortal leaders, or immortal leaders in the form of robots, just became quite appealing. So even if you don't want a robot empire, you might well want to bring some synths into your empire just for the sake of having the synth leader technology, just so like for certain important roles like admiral, I'd say you'd probably pretty much want a synth to be leading that. So that's definitely of interest now. Other than that, there's kind of, I think these are all pretty much just like renamed versions of the existing ones. Robots still have consumer goods costs. These robots, by the way, if you select robot, that's not the equivalent of a synth. A synthetic from the base game. You don't get to start off with like +20% to all your outputs. It's just basically a reskinned basic one. So I assume robots are still allowed to research other types of robots and upgrade themselves to the level of synthetic. I haven't verified that yet, but I assume that's true. They also get, yeah, robot build speed +25%, which is pretty bloody important. Robot build cost -20%, which seems pretty bloody important. I like things like just basically going for bulky, which is resettlement cost, because I don't generally resettle robots, you can build them so quickly, and then just go for like power drills and superconductive for energy and minerals +10%. So, you know, nothing too kind of too surprising there, all things considered. Claire, sorry, do you have anything you need to yell at me?
Well, I like yelling at you in general, but
of course.
We've got plenty of new sponsors, which like is great because we didn't really know like what the thing was.
Oh yeah, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. We think we assume it's good. As a general rule, any time when like, you know, a direct support system will always be more generous to the creator than an ad system, in just the way that YouTube Red views are vastly better than ad supported views, for example. I think I still think they haven't even rolled out Red to everywhere yet. I think Red doesn't even exist. I think you can buy Red in this country. I think Red's still US.
I don't know.
I think Red is just in the US. I've never seen the option to kind of to actually buy it or anything.
I personally prefer Patreon for like my own consumption of stuff, so I don't really know. But yeah, we've got plenty of people using the sponsor option. We've got some super chat donations as well. So a shout out to Touch My Yeti, who gave us £2 and said, "Hey John and Claire, love you both." And also to Vinnie Morrison, who gave us $2 and said Stellaris for the win, with lovely robo emojis as well.
Nice.
And Niall, who gave us £2 and said, boo, meatbag, woo, robo-bag.
Yeah.
Which is very
Meatbags
nice.
indeed. Now, this is probably where things get more towards the interesting. So obviously, you can just have robots. And robots, by the way, you can have a robot and just say they're like, you know, they're just like, you know, egalitarian xenophobe. You can basically have a normal empire of robots where robots have just said, you know what, we're space wasps, but we're democratic xenophile space wasps, damn it. In offense, I feel like playing a space wasp as like being, you know, a xenophile feels like that's kind of wrong. But there are, of course, the three special ones. So in the center, of course, we have got ourselves the Knight Robo Hive Mind Machine Intelligence. And they get these three special ones. I think two are relatively uninteresting, but one is really darn cool. So hang on, we've got, yeah. The Determined Exterminator is basically just the Fanatical Purifier, but it's a robot. It's not desperately interesting. It always purges organics. It gains unity from purging, which is kind of fun. It gets the Armageddon Bombardment stand, which is officially the most useless thing in the world, because they still haven't fixed that to be much better. I mean, like, okay, fine, it's better than the aggressive bombardment stance, but like, by like 5%, you'll never notice the difference. Armageddon Bombardment stance, I think, could do with a buff, and I don't think I've seen it actually got one. But yeah, the nice thing about those guys is they are gaining unity by purging. Basically, all the robots get together and decide, collectively, the one thing they can agree on is exterminating fleshy meat bags is a damn good thing.
Obviously.
Yeah, they get weapon damage up, which is nice, but other than that, yeah, I personally don't find that interesting, because I personally don't enjoy just playing as a murder everything in Stellaris. I find it gets a little bit on the boring side. Driven assimilators are a little bit more on the interesting side, where basically, actually, no, I'll actually just kind of start again with Driven Assimilator setup, just so you can see that. What's that, Claire?
We've got a super chat from our friend Sir Roderick Quincy Font, found the bottom, the magnificent High King of Australia.
Absolutely.
$2 Australian, and said, John, why do you hate the Australians so 5 a.m. stream?
I'm very sorry. This was supposed to be my chillax stream, so maybe this is your getting up early and enjoying the beautiful Australian sunrise with some coffee.
Likes getting up at 5 a.m. Oh my God.
Some people do. Some people might.
Also, Sir Roderick has subscribed, so thank you for that.
Excellent.
And also we've got a message from Fred Johnson, who gave us £2 and said, John and Claire, partial Skyrim fan art on Discord now.
Excellent.
So I'm going to go and find that and then put it in the stream for people if they want to look at it. A shout out also Paul Wilson, who gave us $2 and said, a pleasant surprise, you're my favourite YouTubers.
Excellent.
Thank you very, very much indeed.
Excellent indeed. Now, as I was saying, driven assimilators. Yeah, they're a little bit more interesting. I'm going through these in like order of interest. The driven assimilators, I quite like those. Yeah, they get to start the game with 4 cyborg pops, and they can turn organics into cyborgs. Basically, you do that by, I think you set the species, like in their rights, their citizen class is like to be assimilated, basically. So when you absorb someone, you just kind of do that, which is kind of cool. Honestly, again, I'm not convinced they're... Oh?
Go on.
Claire was gesticulating at me, but it's fine.
Yes, it helps me think. I'm not always thinking at you.
Excellent. And of course, when you actually want to do, like, by the way, is they've now added the system where if you're playing as syncretic evolution, or as a rogue servitor, or as a driven assimilator, you basically get to specify what your secondary species looks like the species that you've assimilated, or the species you're, like, controlling is, if that's what you want to do. And in the event of the driven assimilators, they themselves get traits. Because, of course, technically, they still exist and they still do things. So, is that allowed? Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So, screw it. Let's actually just say that in this case, what we've assimilated are cats. We've assimilated cats, and now robo-cats will act as assimilated things. In all fairness, it's always nice having, like, a two... when you've got kind of like 2 different species, a primary species and a secondary one, because it means they both can grow simultaneously, which is kind of useful. So, screw it, let's just actually say we're done with that for the time being and actually launch that one. I've unspent ethics points. That's absolutely fine. A whole bunch of new options, by the way. This one I like. There's the new randomize options. So now, rather than just kind of specifying how many AI empires you want, you can basically just say, whack it up to 21, but then say, generate a random number between 10 and 21, and then also generate a random number, like, between, say, between 10 and 21 for AI. Probably you don't want to do that, because then if this rolls low and this rolls high, literally every AI is going to be advanced. So probably you want to set this where, like, the midpoint is towards the high. So, like, say 7 to 14 or something. That's probably below that. Yeah, that's probably fair. Fallen Empires, again, you can randomize that. You can say between 2 and 4 Fallen Empires. I'm not sure if the new robot Fallen Empire is guaranteed to spawn if you've got Synthetic Dawn. I would imagine it would be. Also, I love this. You can now set primitive civilizations to be way more common if you want to, which is good because I love primitive civilizations. They're great fun. So I kind of,
because you're much smarter than they are because you're a robot.
No, because I find them they're just interesting lore-wise.
No, I meant, is that why they're more common now?
No, it's just an option. Basically, they've just added a bunch of flexibility, so you can now just make the galaxy. You can customize it way more to what you want to do, which is really cool. And the crisis, if you felt like the crisis wasn't tough enough, you can whack the crisis up to being 5 times more than it used to be. And also, really interesting change. They've made basically there's now far fewer habitable worlds in the galaxy. So the habitable worlds there are way more to be fought over potentially, and thus there's actually much more of a role for frontier outposts, which I think gives a real advantage to, say, egalitarians and rogue servitors, who are the 2 faction types that have the most influence, because you need influence to be powering the frontier outpost. It also means the colonization tree just got way more important, because that gets the cost of frontier outposts way down. Other than that, I think everything's pretty much the same. You can basically just whack all that up. You can basically just whack that around as much as you want. I'm just going to whack this up to ×5, just to see if, like,
the end game.
No, or I'm going to whack both of them up to ×5, just to see if, like, when I begin, literally there's like primitive civilizations around me. I'm just going to create a galaxy that's teeming with life. It's going to be marvelous. Other than that, I think there's still no bigger galaxy. The galaxy is still as big as it ever was. Screw it, we'll just whack that up a little bit there. Whack all of these up to 5x and 5x and habitable worlds. Yeah, that's the default, but if you want to, you can make habitable worlds, like, basically almost incredibly rare. Now that one I think is almost really interesting, like playing a game where there's actually a quarter of the habitable worlds there should be. Because at that point, like, every world is precious. But then I suppose probably that just encourages people spamming and rushing towards habitat, so maybe it's not so interesting. But I'm going to whack that down a bit just to kind of see what happens. Because also, if you whack down the number of habitable worlds, but whack up the number of primitives, does that mean, like, every habitable world is going to have a primitive on it? Unless you have to figure out how to deal with primitives. Screw it. Let's just play, because then we'll get to see the driven assimilators in action, which is kind of cool. There we are. Government Catalogue Index. Absolutely flipping magnificent. Hyperspace travel, all that good stuff right down there. I'm just going to zoom out right now, see if we've immediately got anything. We've just spawned down here, still a bit of the galaxy. I'm just going to send First Legion, which is still called First Legion by odd coincidence. I'm just going to send that around to see if it can literally find anything. So I'm just going to basically send that around. While I'm just doing those clicks, Claire, do you have anything to catch us up on?
Right, so we've got a few more donations from Super Chat. Tree Shaker Trucker gave us £2 and said, "Kill all humans."
I should have spawned some humans. If I find some humans, we will kill them. We'll kill those fleshy meat sacks.
A shout out to Snowdo, who gave us €10, and also to Elias Lipka, who gave us the 20 Swedish krona and said, "This is perfect because I'm free tomorrow." So yes. Also, our good friend Sir Roderick Quincy von. It's a great name. I'm not gonna say the whole thing again for like a third time. But anyway, said he hasn't gone to bed yet, so it's not a lovely early wake up. So there you go. Excellent.
He hasn't gone to bed at 5 a.m. Blimey, and we think we're bad at going to bed on time.
Anyway, a shout out to Yannick, who gave us $10 and said 2 Stellaris streams in a week. John and Claire, you spoilers. Can I make a request for a dedicated Xenozoo planet that is managed entirely by robots?
Oh, that sounds cute. That does sound cute. So, you see here what we've actually got going on here is, yeah, we've got our main robots, who obviously they don't repopulate or kind of do anything like that. Instead, you just need to actually, hang on, you presumably need to build those. Ah, there we are. Build a pop, yeah. Select a mechanical pop to construct on this tile. So that's now over there. So we can build this guy. The reason that's now like that is because now Robo-modding is a thing. In the same way that gene modding means you can create subspecies of your own population for your organics, you can now create subspecies of yourself. So if you want to, you can create like a special unique mining variant of your guy who's like, you know, say got like the very strong trait or the equivalent and is just for mining, and create a separate entire subspecies of robot that's designed for nothing but like, say, working on science. So they go for all the intelligence stuff. And you could also create, if you wanted to, a leadership cast that had all like the charismatic plus leader relations buffs, which would be kind of cool. So you can actually create like little subclasses like that. So in this case, also, you can now build multiple, which is nice. So rather than having to build individual robots, you can now build them all over the shop. Also, these robot pops cost 100, so they don't cost energy to build. You can build, I think you can still research robots and just build like basic little robots if you want. But these guys, because they're your primary population, they cost 100 minerals, they don't cost energy. So we can get one of those in production, and he's just going to quietly get on with growing. Lovely. Now let me think. Now, if we just let this happen, do you guys reproduce on your own? I assume these guys do still reproduce. Hang on, I need to view this species and just set their rights. Let's have a look, see at the rights of a machine integration. Yeah, so machine integration, if I want to, I can set them as desirables and can then start neutering them or whatever. Living standards are drones, so consumer good cost actually goes up a little bit. Yep, fine. Hang on, population controls. Population controls are enabled by default. So,
oh, great, so you can't screw them up.
Yeah, indeed. So there's no way to have population controls disabled. If you've assimilated a biological pop, it's no longer biological. It's lost its, I don't know, it's lost its sex drive or its sex organs or something. It's too robot to reproduce. So if you want more of these guys in your empire, then as a result, you're going to actually have to go and conquer more of them and get them, involved. They can't actually do anything like that by themselves, which is interesting. And then, yeah, hang on, we'll go back into your rights there. Citizenship machine integration. Yeah, all owned pops of this species are fully integrated with the machine empire. Very, very nice indeed.
The amazing pie man in the chat, in response to your comment about the population control, says yes, we reproduce on our own. No, we may not be able to, because John is very good at like clicking on something by accident and then blocking a species from having children for 10 years.
Not by coincidence, the flipping... No, the robots are joke. I assume these guys are still allowed to... Are actually allowed to have robots. Hang on, let's see if there is anything like robots. No, robots doesn't exist already, technically. I assume those guys are still allowed to like have normal robots. I don't see any reason why...
Wait, synths?
Like the basic drones. Yeah, these guys are they're very different from the robots. So I don't know whether the robot tech is allowed to show up for robotic populations. I haven't seen it show up yet. I would see no reason why it can't, to be honest. So other than that, yeah, these guys they're kind of interesting because I personally think they're not necessarily... I find them a little bit more confusing in some ways because they don't really have much in the way to recommend them. Like a biological pop, once it's actually been... once it's kind of been integrated. Obviously, it's not reproducing anymore. Obviously, if you integrate a biological pop that's got certain traits, then you can bring that trait into your empire, which is advantageous because if you find, say, a group of really, really strong organics, you can just take them over, bring them into your empire, and because they are computer now, they don't actually have happiness. So you don't need to worry about happiness, you don't need to worry about revolts or anything, as long as you can get past that initial area. There's no problem with unrest. But honestly, unrest was never a problem to begin with. So, for example, these cats that we've got, they remain intelligent.
Robo-cats?
Yeah, the robo-cats are still intelligent, even though they're cybernetic.
Obviously.
The advantage they get, however, is, yeah, they still die, but they get additional lifespan. So they're not perfectly robotic, so they're not immortal. But they get habitability up, army damage goes up, and the leader lifespan goes up, which is kind of the advantage they've got going on there.
Dark Flash in the chat says robot tech is disabled for robotic empires. The paradox stream that they did a while ago.
I didn't see that in the patch. I didn't see that in the patch notes, but that's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you for confirming that. So yeah, I mean, in all fairness, it doesn't really matter because these guys can just get on with robo-modding. Anyway, let's see if that's actually enabled yet. I think that you possibly might need to... No, not that one. You might need to wait until we've got that set rights applied to... Okay, I can't actually create a template there, but that's what that is. That's a template. So I need to actually get the machine template system technology in engineering before I can have that. But basically, that just means I can create subsections of my own. So in all fairness, I could create a robot that's just as good as the synths used to be. So there's not really, I guess there wouldn't really be much point these guys having like traditional drones. So it makes sense that technology would indeed be redundant at the moment. These guys can be...
These guys are clearly the robo-tabbies, as pointed out by
Yeah, these
Henrik
guys
in
are
chat.
indeed the robo-tabbies, abso-flipping-lutely. And interestingly, you can template them as well, but you see there, because they're still somewhat organic and they're not entirely robotic, if you want that, then you now need the modified species template. So again, you could create a subclass of tabbies, where some were meant for mining, some were meant for power plants, and some were just meant for looking cute. Which, you wouldn't need to do that, because tabbies are already very good at that. So you wouldn't need that.
Cute.
You wouldn't need that. But the thing about these guys is, so like, you know, basically, as robots, they can't do that. And sure, the assimilation is nice. I guess, like, the advantage of the driven assimilators is they can basically take over any other organic pot. And once it's assimilated, then they live in a world where that pot will never cause trouble again. So say we had some trouble with the snails, for example, and unhappiness in my last playthrough in Utopia. But unrest has never been a big problem. And I think that, to my mind, is the only thing that recommends them. Like, they don't have any special mechanism for gaining more influence. They don't have any special mechanism for gaining more actual unity. We've just run into something somewhere. Hang on. And it's enigmatic spacefarers. It's probably just... Oh, it's just a void cloud. It's not an actual thing over there. So, I've just sent... Oh, yeah. So, remember how I set the planets to be less common? Basically, I've just explored this entire area of space, and we've literally managed to find, I think, 4 planets. Oh, they've also changed the colour, by the way. Now, if you haven't scanned it, it's always orange, even if it actually matches what your species actually wants. For robots, it doesn't actually matter, by the way, because robots, like, have 100% habitability, like, anywhere, so it's fine. Which is lovely. So yeah, we've just got ourselves 125 over there, 190 there. Also, I think now they've removed the ability. We've got another encounter. They've removed the ability for you to actually. Let's just kind of send these guys over here and just kind of survey this system. And then, oh, you went way over there. Oh, sorry, that's because you live over there. You go over there. And then after that, go over here. I'm just going to quickly scan these two systems, just see if both of them like have primitives on them. So that'd be kind of hilarious.
Alright, a shout out to Oli3 who gave us
it's Oli.
Yeah, and also one of our first sponsors did that really early in the stream. He says, can you create Robo-mushroom combat tabbies?
You theoretically could, yes, because actually I'm not sure. I think once you've selected one portrait, I don't know if you can use a different portrait. I think you're allowed to... Actually, I haven't seen the template tool in action yet, because I haven't, like, literally, I just took delivery of this code the other day, and, like, this is basically the first time, like, I played it, like, just to get to grips with it a little bit, just, like, you know, an hour the other night, which I wasn't allowed to talk about, sorry, but, like, I haven't, like, had enough chance to actually get the machine technology, so I haven't seen whether you're allowed to use the other portraits. Once you've got one portrait, if you gene mod, you're allowed to go to a different portrait, for example. That I have not seen yet.
Alright, and also in the chat, Conscript David asks if this is going to be the Let's Play or if you're going to play a different race. Like, are you just looking at
I'm just looking at things one by one. Like, this isn't even like a proper playthrough, to be honest. This is me just kind of talking about stuff and like exploring it. And like, it was kind of just felt like if the Stellaris fans in our community, and we have quite a few these days, like if they've got questions about Synthetic Dawn, we can actually have a little look-see at them, which is kind of, we can have a little look-see at it.
Also a shout out to Jeremy who gave us £2 and said, hi, I was late. What are the cliff notes on your civilization? And I guess we're just looking now.
Yeah, we're just looking at these guys because we haven't actually done anything right now. We're kind of we're being way too slow. I will actually do like a little like tiny mini playthrough, but none of the driven simulators, because I say I personally don't find them desperately interesting. In some ways, I think they're actually the least interesting. Like the driven the Killbot one at least has the benefit of you get Unity for murder, which is nice because Unity is like one of the hardest ones to keep up with, which is nice. Oh, there is one thing I do need to draw attention to, by the way, while my ship's just going around doing some scanning. Robots get a whole new bunch of adapted tradition trees, because some of them obviously don't make sense, and we've done that, by the way. Some of them don't make sense for robots anymore. So harmony's been replaced with synchronicity, and diplomacy, because robots literally can't like diplomacy, has changed over to versatility. Now versatility's got some really damn cool stuff in. Its adoption is pop build cost down by 10%, which is a really nice one to take early. So like, you know, because you're going to be building a lot of robots, so 10% build cost down is pretty damn good. And the finisher effect is all buildable pops resource production plus 5%. So that's basically plus 5% to all your planetary mining and power and science output and Unity output, everything. Which is, you know, that's a really good opening and closing finishing effects. But some of the perks here are really damn good too. So, yeah, universal compatibility, trust cap increased by plus 50, opinion increased by plus 20, but only with fellow machine intelligence empires. Of course, we can't really chat to anyone else for the most part, and unlocks the Federation, unlocks the Federation thing, but again, you really only do that with other robots. So you can form a big Robo-Federation, which is kind of nice. Empire leader capacity up by 2, leader level cap up by 1, material. Now this one I think is really cool.
Oh, nice.
Material analysis, Unity output plus 5% per unique strategic resource up to a maximum of 30%. So if you rush to strategic resources, plus 30% unity just for holding on to one of 6 different types of strategic resources, unique resources, which is really, really damn cool. That is just so damn cool.
So, thank you to Thomas, who let us know in the chat that Stellaris tweeted about the stream and said, let's hang out with many of you know tonight. So,
thank you very much, Stellaris.
From Stellaris, or people who've come to us from the Stellaris.
Hello, new
Twitter
people.
account.
We've done a few Stellaris runs. We just finished off a big Utopia run with some lovely Xenophiles. We're just having a quick look at this now. If you've got any questions, because obviously, from a few bits and pieces related to Synthetic Dawn, I'm literally Claire's going to be looking for questions in the chat. Read out questions and we'll go and investigate that. And their synchronicity one is, robot build speed plus 33%. Another really good one to take really early on, because that's basically a reproductive rate. So you basically want to be taking that. And the finisher effect is monthly influence plus 1, which is especially kind of important for the driven assimilators, who to my mind really lack the ability to gain much in the way of influence. Other than that, they get a fair few things over. Different robots gain different types. Like the rogue servitors do have access to the Paradise Dome, whereas these guys don't have that, because obviously you've got organics that need to be treated nicely. Or rather, it's a slight variant on the Paradise Dome. I'll show it off in a second. But these guys instead have cybercoms for the neuroelectric amplifier, which is very, very nice indeed. So, actually, what does that even do? It doesn't say. Unfortunately, it doesn't say, so I don't know what that building actually does, unfortunately, which is a shame. But other than that, Bulwark of Harmony is still there, even though it's not even Harmony anymore, it's Synchronicity. It should be Bulwark of Synchronicity, damn it. But other than that, you can see there's a few things that have changed. Prosperity, by the way, has changed for everyone, and it's just, the thing is, I found Prosperity's changed really weird, because Prosperity was already ridiculously good, and they've made it even stupidly better. Prosperity's adoption effect is now ship cost and building cost down 15%. That's lunacy! That's lunacy on toast. That used to be, what was that, minus 33% for just mineral building in space things, the mineral spaceship things. Now it's all ships and all buildings down 15%, which is ludicrous on toast. It was already good enough. It was already fine. Oh, we happen to have found the Cybrex by sheer coincidence. That's nice. Discovery has kind of changed a lot. As you can see, there's a bunch of changes. Some of them stay the same, and there's a bunch of changes that affect everyone. So, for example, over an expansion now, the new thing over an expansion, distributed computing, the first one on the left there is now capital buildings produce 1 extra unity. Obviously, still to my mind, the most important flipping tradition in the entire game is the tradition cost down 20%. The effect of increased tradition cost by number of colonies reduced by 20%. Rushing to what would be interplanetary couriers, and in this version is called extensible software, is still ridiculously important. But Frontier Outpost cost also very important if you're playing a game. Oh, Domination's got some really fun changes as well. That's changed really quite significantly in what's actually quite a fun way. So now, Vassal increasing your naval capacity, because this used to be, I think, tributaries and vassals increased your naval capacity by 20% of theirs. That's gone up to 50%. So one of the big changes they've made is they've really made playing with vassals and tributaries a lot more workable than it used to be. And income plus tributaries is now plus 50%, so actually you make some decent money off that, which is actually considerable. That's worth thinking about. That's actually potentially worth thinking about. And there's unity output increased by 5% per subject. So again, up to a maximum of plus 30%. So if you think about it, if you can get unity up 30% by having 6 slaves, and then also unity up a further 30% by holding 6 strategic resources, that suddenly makes playing with domination actually bothering with vassals a lot more interesting. Because if you've got a few vassals, rather than just integrating, because in the previous game, there wasn't really much reason not to just integrate everything as soon as you had the influence for it. Vassals didn't do much, but if vassals are passing 50% of their fleet onto you, so you're not even losing much by not integrating them, and you're also getting unity up by 30%, all of a sudden, playing a vassal game is actually, with vassals and tributaries, that's actually worth thinking about just for the bloody unity benefit. So I really like what they've done with the domination tree. That's a really big change. Supremacy hasn't changed much at all. Leaders just gained a level, that's fine. Most that's, pretty bloody familiar to you. Versatility, that's changed a little bit, but that's mainly because we're robots. Discovery, I don't think it's changed that much either. I think that's one of the ones that's kind of very, very similar to how it was. But the domination changes, I think, are really, really damn cool. I really appreciate those. Those are really, really nice. Anyway, also, I think there's some extra There's some new robot ascension perks down here as well, if I'm remembering correctly. Glad to here we are, machine worlds. I don't think we're going to be able to see that one right now, unfortunately. So we've got machine worlds here. We shall shape our worlds into a mirror image of ourselves, replacing frail biology with... We never had frail biology. We were robots to start off with. Never mind. So terraforming option, machine world, special planet class. Basically, yeah, all their resource output is increased by 15%. The downside is organics aren't allowed on them. Now, for the driven assimilators or the murder bots, that barely even matters, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, it's completely pointless. So. But I'd say it's more interesting for the rogue servitors, who I'm going over to in a second, so I think they're the most interesting. And synthetic age, indeed, that's basically the machine modification points +2. So that's more useful if you want to create really specialised subclasses of robots using the machine templates tool. So that's actually potentially a really interesting one to take as well. Other than that, I think they pretty much share all the original Ascension perks.
Shout out to Jesse in chat who says, wow, this man can talk without drawing a breath. How much hair does your lungs hold?
Indeed.
And Patrick Jackson says you're part cyborg. Very, very true. Also, shout out to Benjamin who gave us $10 and said, John, the Vikings must become glorious robot overlords. Unfortunately, I'm going mobile, so I can't chat anymore, but seriously, you should have Robo-Vikings this run. So we'll consider that when we do an actual run. We're not doing that now, but...
yeah, I'm about to start like a little fake run, if you like.
Yeah,
just because the rogue servitors are, to my mind, the most interesting one. They're the one, like, if I was to ever do a run into Net Dawn, that's the one I'd do. So I'm actually going to back out of this right now. I'm just going to go back to the menu here, and I'm going to load up the rogue servitors, because they, to my mind, the interesting one. There's the one I actually set up specially. So I'm just going to edit these guys nice and quickly.
Alright, while you do that, a shout out to Tenebris Films, who gave us £3.21 and said Patreon trumps Twitch or YouTube timely monies. Thank you very much. Well, you know, I mean...
We don't know. We'll need to look into it.
We don't really know because this is all very, very, very new, but we do really appreciate our patrons.
Yep.
Also, shout out to Vibe Out Darwin, who gave us 400 rupees and said, yay, more Stellaris. And Touch My Yeti, who gave us £2, wants you to touch their Yeti. It's cute and cuddles.
Excellent. I hope that's the name of a dog and not a euphemism for their genitals.
I don't know. I don't ask people about their... Anyway, shout out to Daniel Weir, who gave us £10 and is also a sponsor. So thank you very much for that. And said I probably can't afford to do this because I'm supposed to be saving for a new phone, but screw it. It's for John and Claire. Thank you very much. Don't, give us money if you can't afford to, please.
Yes, sort yourselves out first. Always take care of yourself first. That's it. Self-care is important, etc.
Yay. Also, Ben Scam gave us £10 and wants to know, he says, I'm an XB1 user. Could a laptop run Stellaris, or would you recommend going quids in on a PC?
Ooh, it depends on the laptop. The thing is, even with quite a powerful PC, when, ridiculous number of ships get on screen, it slows down regardless. But there's no way, in Total War to scale down... Actually, there's no way to scale down the size of armadas, but if you scale down the universe to a tiny scale universe with a smaller number of systems, you can have basically the same experience, but with less ships on screen. I think it probably could if you run it on, lower graphic settings and a smaller galaxy, but it really depends on, the graphics card and, the CPU of your laptop. So I wouldn't like to say... but I imagine, there's certainly, it's customizable. You can absolutely lower the graphic settings and lower the scale of the universe. So, potentially, yes. I honestly don't know, unfortunately.
Well, and also if you want to know and if you have the specs of your PC and everything, you can probably find a subreddit.
Yeah, I think we've got a fair few Stellaris people in the stream right now. So if you want to just kind of put your kind of stuff into the stream, hopefully someone will be able to actually answer that in the chat who might have some experience in dealing with the lower end stuff.
Also, people are saying that you should use specific console commands. So
that I was going to use the observer. I was going to use the observer command to show off the new contingency Fallen Empire in a second, actually.
So I don't. Yeah.
Don't worry. I was going to use a console command. I don't know all of them, but I know the observer one, so I was going to just use that.
Yeah. Jason Abel has been sending a lot of them, and he said particularly you should type Event Crisis.2000 in the course.
Oh, marvelous! As in just to kick off.
Sounds lovely.
Actually, I might do that. I might actually set the the crisis to 5x, and then we'll just trigger the crisis just to see how big it is.
Dear.
That'd be
Also,
hilarious. We should do that.
Shout out to Freakineo, who is saying in the chat his crappy laptop can run Stellaris. It gets hard at the end, but it still works. So yeah, that sounds pretty positive. Yeah, that sounds pretty positive. I mean, you know.
Oh, we've got the new voices, by the way. I like the new voices. They've now added voice acting. Actually, some of them are really weird. I think the Xenophile one is quite frankly almost rude to Xenophiles. It makes them sound like slightly spaced out hippies, which I think is unfair. So if she may get the same voice I heard last time.
I may be an artificial intelligence, but I share your enthusiasm for seeking out fellow organic intelligences among the stars.
Actually, I think it's giving you a special one because it's a robot. Hang on, I'm just going to
Do not be afraid to exercise your individual right to free thought.
I think there's actually special, unique ones per like all of them have like robot variants, which is kind of cool. Oh, actually no, unless it's the VI. No, because of course it's not. It's because it's the VI. Because technically this is a VI voice.
People are asking, the custom avatar voice. I don't know if that's what you've just done.
Yeah.
Because I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm not listening.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm doing right now.
Sorry. Yeah, so people are talking about their laptops and what it's working on and all that in the chat now. So
yeah. And there's a few. I'm just gonna play these for you.
No, it'll be fine. Telling you, just turn off the fail safes and wait.
I quite like the materialist one.
Faith manages.
Oh,
It is a good day to die.
the militarist one sounds actively evil, which is a shame. Because I feel like it's unfair to tar the militarist one as evil.
These alien savages must be taught to kneel when in the presence of their betters.
Xenophobe seems fair.
Descent is forcefully discouraged.
Authoritarian is fine because it just sounds like the Empire from Star Wars.
Do not be afraid to exercise your individual right to free thought. Please take a moment now to practice.
The Blorg are very friendly creatures.
Yeah, the Xenophile just sounds like the sort of idiot scientist who, like, at the beginning of an Alien film, just peers into the pod and then gets immediately killed. So I'm not sure I approve of the Xenophile voice.
We build bridges. We don't raise them.
And the pacifist is fine too. They're all quite good, but I quite like the robot one. In all fairness, I think pretty much everyone disables the VI almost immediately. Literally the only thing this voice is for is what gender and accent would you like to be yelling system survey complete at you several thousand times for the entire rest of the game. So they're there, which is nice. Now, let's talk about rogue servitors, because rogue servitors I think are genuinely really fascinating. Just in case you've missed this is basically one of the 3 unique special classes of kind of robo hive minds, which basically means they're robots, but they were created to serve humans, but then humans just kept, delegating more and more stuff. Eventually delegating, politics and war and everything to them. So now the humans just sit around in their lovely little kind of, bio sanctuaries, being aggressively and relentlessly hit with mandatory pampering. Just basically living like cats. Basically, the humans have been turned into what Tabby is to us. She just stays in the flat and receives pampering. But she doesn't get much in the way of, free will or self-determination. But she's happy, damn it, so it's all fine. So you basically get some humans. They've not been modded in any way, so they keep reproducing. Whatever cell you put them on produces 1 unity, or rather 1 unity adjusted for happiness, because they still have happiness, because they're still organics. So this empire produces a ton of unity. It also produces influence as a function of what proportion of the empire is these bio trophies. So keep those bio trophies reproducing fast and you produce a ton of influence. So rogue servitors are flipping swimming in influence and unity. Influence and unity, to my mind, are one of the hardest things to actually get your base up of. Unless of course you're playing as fanatical egalitarian. Those guys are swimming in influence of factions too, sure. But I find them really, really bloody interesting. Also, I didn't really look at the robot Civics, by the way. There's a bunch of new Civics. Some of them are just, again, renamed versions of existing ones. Some of them are a little bit more interesting. So I think, I'm not sure if actually organics have this one, because again, I'm seeing stuff that's changed for 1.8, and I'm seeing stuff that's changed for Synthetic Dawn right now. So I can't tell you for certain which of these is 1.8 free update, and which of this is tied to the paid DLC. Sorry. But there's things like, +4 leader capacity, leader recruitment cost, -50%, etc. I'm just trying to look for ones I know or think look like they're a little bit more interesting. I think most of these look like they're about the same. I mean, Rapid Replicator, robot build speed +15% never hurts when you're going to have a lot of robots in your empire. You've got, you know, all the old classics, to be honest. Warbots and unitary cohesion. I like unitary cohesion because I like monthly unity plus 15%. One that actually isn't here, which is interesting, is the old plus 2 to core systems, which I find fascinating. So that one seems to be gone for robots. Actually, I'm not sure if anyone gets that. I'm just actually going to go back for a second to see if anyone's actually allowed that. I'm just going to actually just like build a new one, see if anyone actually gets that. So assuming that this is actually just a basic human and not a robot, go over to traits and ethics. Yeah, they still get efficient bureaucracy. Robots don't have an equivalent of efficient bureaucracy. I don't know why exactly. They just don't. So they basically are stuck using repeatable text for plus planets or sectors earlier on. Also, yeah, there's a couple of new ones I think that I saw got added in by 1.8. There's the feudalism one, isn't there? Yeah, feudalism, which appears to... The game's not out yet, so I assume this just doesn't have its final assets in place. I was told that might actually be the case. So yeah, feudal, that's new. I remember one of the devs tweeting about this one. So yeah, now effects of subject power and relations is reduced by minus 50%. All subjects are allowed to colonize planets outside their borders. So again, if you want to kind of play into much more of a domination game with loads of tributaries and vassals and whatever, feudal society, potentially a really quite fun one to have. So I really like that they have a double down on making domination work, because previously vassals weren't really much in the way of interesting, which is a shame. And I think inward perfection's actually been modified slightly as well, because that looks much better than I remember it being, so I think that's actually been modified too. Anyway, forget that. Let's actually go back to the rogue servitors. I actually set up ahead of time here. No.
Now, while you do that,
yes,
I've got a few shout-outs.
Yes, Claire,
Gabriel
go.
Johnson, who gave us $5 and said, "You've made a nightmare stay in hospital with a critically ill child a little more bearable. Claire is a delight in the new co-op video." They really did write that. I didn't add the part about me being a delight.
In all fairness, everyone always says when we do cut videos that you're nice, which means they clearly just haven't lived with you long enough.
Well, I mean, they can clearly tell that you're mean.
Yes,
anyway,
that is true.
Gabriel, we're really sorry that you had to be in hospital. We're really glad we could help, and thank you so much for saying that. Also, a shout out to Sentinel Baron, who gave us $5 and said, "I'm a little low on cash after ordering a lovely MHN coffee mug, but I had to give you some. Side note, expecting some high quality robo jokes." Get on that, John. That one's your job.
Excellent.
Not the jokes. And a shout out to C Jester, who gave us $5 and said, "I'm trying to watch the last Stellaris live stream and this pops up. Recently started supporting you on Patreon as well. Much love from across the pond." Thank you very, very much.
Thank you much indeed.
And also, we've got questions from the chat.
Yes, questions for the chat.
You specifically asked for
yes.
those.
What have we got?
Mr. Finn T wants to know if cyborg populations can die, they have lead lifespans.
They do,
can't
yeah.
Reproduce. Wouldn't they die out within like 100 years, or do they just make more? Or they just like fabricate more?
I think you do need to actually keep expanding as the driven assimilators to actually expand, because they don't seem, as far as I can tell, to reproduce because they're robotic. You can extend their lifespans, but I think you do indeed need to keep expanding to keep them coming into your empire. Basically, driven assimilators, you know, no one said that necessarily it was going to be a good logic, which is they're just going to basically go around and assimilate everything. As far as I can tell, that is indeed the case. Yes. Because they are biological, they do clearly still have lifespans. But you know what, let's very quickly put this to the test, in fact, because we can actually test that immediately. Because what we can do is we can simply go over to... where are you? Yeah, driven assimilators. We'll just quickly just kind of whack that. That's absolutely fine. Why is that not acceptable? That is totally acceptable. Done. Yes. Play that immediately, absolutely. And we'll simply just basically go down to the home system and we'll have a look-see at these guys down here, and we'll basically just start speeding things up, and we'll see if my little fennec fox friends, who are cybernetic, actually bother to reproduce or not. Because if they don't, then... Wait, you actually... Yeah, you are actually the guys I want. So now let's just speed things up here and see if they actually reproduce. Because I think they don't. And indeed, there's no sign of them starting to reproduce. And because no new population is showing up anywhere, I'm pretty sure they in fact do not. No. So, instead, nope, they definitely do not seem to be. And you can't just actually, and you can't just, like, build new ones. You can build a pop there, but the only pop that can be built is the robotic pops. You can't build this pop. So yes, logically, these guys... Well, actually, they don't die out because populations don't die out. If these guys were allowed to be leaders, then the leaders would die out. But because this is a pop, and because these guys are stuck in that particular class... Hang on, if I go over to the species list... I'm pretty sure these guys aren't allowed to be leaders. So if we kind of look over there... Hang on, colonization, population controls... Yeah, they literally can't be leaders. So they don't die out because technically they are mortal, but the only people that die in this game are leaders, and they have no ability to be leaders. However, you're right, they don't reproduce. So they don't disappear, but they do remain static. If you want more organics in a driven assimilator empire, you have to go out and conquer them. And once they've been assimilated, they will stop reproducing. So it's not that they die out, it's just that they are a static number once assimilated. There we are, we've actually answered a question. Carry on,
Nice.
Claire, what was the next
Also,
question?
Well, one little bit of like housekeeping. A few people have been asking how long we're going for tonight. We're not going to do a full.
No. We're probably not going to go past 10. We're probably not going to go past 10, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he says that, so probably 10:30. We're going to get hungry at some point and want to eat some pizza, so that's going to be the limit. A shout out to Sean Pay, who gave us $5 and said, I just want to send some support to you guys before going back to work. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed.
Sir Roderick Quincy Font Thunderbottom, the magnificent hiking of Australia, gave us $2 Australian and pointed out that everyone's still broke from the last stream, which was a little bit insane.
Yeah, it was. That's absolutely acceptable, yes.
Also, shout out to Glass Cannon, who gave us $5 and said, for Far Harbour, you only live once. Are you planning to side with Children of the Atom and pivot into radiation build to play off of the inevitable rad build-up?
It actually is something I've been thinking about, yeah. It kind of depends on how much the rads build up. But if the rads have built up significantly, yeah, going into a desperate last-minute rad build in Fallout 4 You Only Live Once is absolutely a last-minute backup strategy if the problem I run into is high rads rather than low health.
Right. Also, Jabberjay pointed out that when we do an actual run of Synthetic Dawn, we should name all the ships after Futurama robots, or like just famous robots in general.
That is reasonable, yes.
Yeah. And so Roderick wanted to know if in the War in Heaven you can like form a federation with Meatbags.
Ooh, interesting. In a War in Heaven, if you are a robot, I think you're stuck only with a federation with other robots. That is what it said in the description. Because these guys, and to be honest, even if it's theoretically possible, I've kind of, during like when I was playing around with this yesterday, I noticed that basically robots obviously have a massive debuff in reputation next to everyone else. So it would be very, very hard to get in a federation with them anyway. I'm pretty sure the only people that are allowed to be in federation are going to be driven assimilators or rogue servitors, and even then probably only with other robots is actually going to be the time it works. Though actually, hilariously, if a rogue servitor spawns next to the exterminator guys, exterminators hate rogue servitors because basically rogue servitors are hated by everyone. They're just lovely robots that want to take care of, like, you know, and treat humans like kittens, but actually all that happens is everyone hates them because other organics hate them for keeping what they consider to be people kind of imprisoned and not letting them, you know, self-determine, and other robots hate them because they're biophiles, is the way the game describes it. So basically, if you're a rogue servitor, everyone kind of hates you, apart from the people in your own empire who love you because they don't know any better. So there's that. Any more questions floating around?
Yeah, Doggo wanted to know if this changes the Synthetic Rebellion endgame.
That has changed significantly already, which is now a synthetic uprising is no longer an endgame crisis. It's a mid-game event chain that might kick off that's tied to the new Fallen Empire, Robot Fallen Empire. In fact, actually, let's see if we can get him to spawn as well. We can actually show that off immediately. So hang on, just let's load this up and see if that's actually spawned in. If we are lucky. And then we've got that. Let's just put this into observe mode. And let's see if they've actually shown up here. Thank you very much. Hang on. Just quickly go to Omnium Continuum. That potentially is you. Is that you? That looks like that could be you. If we just go into... Yep, this looks like them. This looks like them, abso-flipping-lutely. So this is the new Robo Fallen Empire that replaces one of the Fallen Empires. I mean, if every time I've checked with the Observe function right now, it's always spawned in. So I think with Synthetic Dawn, it is just guaranteed to spawn in, because it's really important. It's like tied into all the quest chains. Like this new synthetic mid-game uprising is tied to these guys, the Omni Continuum. So it's tied to these guys, and they're a new Fallen Empire. They can go berserk. I've not seen it happen yet. I don't know what it actually looks like, and I'm not sure like if they can have a war in heaven. Presumably they can't have a war in heaven because they don't have a diametrically opposed force to actually go to war against, because war in heavens happen in pairs. I guess theoretically they could go to a war in heaven against a materialist, because the materialists have kind of been reworked as suspicious of highly suspicious of robots. If I can find those guys, hang on, let's just quickly see if I can actually find those guys up top here. Nope, sorry, other way around. Holy Guardians, Ancient Caretakers. Is this you? No, I think I've only got 3 that have spawned in this location. I think I had it set at random. So we've got, yeah, this time I've only got the Isolationists and the Holy Guardians. So actually, you see here, these guys will never go to war with each other because Isolationists and Holy Guardians haven't got a problem with each other. So these guys, presumably, if there is going to be some form of war in heaven, it's more about these guys, rather than attacking another Fallen Empire, these guys just go berserk and attack literally everyone. I can't see how these guys' power is relative to each other. I assume they're much more powerful. So these guys are the new Ancient Caretakers with their lovely 3 worlds and 60 population, etc. So yeah, these guys have got, obviously, they haven't got new styles of ships. That's actually kind of the one thing I'm disappointed with. The new Robot Fallen Empire has the same ship style as the other Fallen Empires, and they also don't get anything else. Like, there's also no new kind of robot ship model. If you're playing as, like, robots, you kind of have more robot-y ships. It would have been nice to be able to build something a bit more like this. So they get the pretty standard Fallen Empire stuff. But yeah, you can see that they just kind of start off with a pretty standard ring world, except their ring world's special because they've got the production unit here that literally is producing nothing but minerals. They are swimming in minerals. Which is kind of cool. They've got the processing unit that produces nothing but power, the production unit that produces nothing but minerals. They've got... So, do they have anything else? That's a ruin section over there.
By the way, people are doing robot puns in the...
Excellent. Quite bloody right too, I say.
Shout out to Amanda Davis, who said, why was the robot angry?
Why was the robot angry? I don't know, Claire. Why was the robot angry?
Because people kept pushing his buttons. Also, Amanda gave us $5 and said, you decided to have a stream on my day off. How did you know? All hail our robot overlords. And they shout out to Conrad Carroll, who gave us $20 and said, I haven't been able to watch live for a few weeks. It's awesome that this is not a Saturday live stream. Thank you, John and Claire. And in a similar vein, our good friend Robert Wazawachi.
Excellent. Good old Robin Weaselwater.
Yeah, gave us $2 and said, wait, is it Saturday? It is not.
No, it is not.
We just couldn't deal with, we just couldn't deal with not having more Stellaris.
Yeah, we had to have more Stellaris, damn it. Why not, eh?
Damn it. Yeah, and as sometimes YouTuber mentioned in chat, for those interested, oligarchic government, spiritualist ethic, and corporate dominion civic makes a brand new government type, megachurch.
Oh, the megachurch. I'd heard about the megachurch, yeah.
I think
it's just evangelist. Yeah. Good old space evangelist. Now, what I'm going to do here, I think this is quite fun, is I'm just going to whack up the primitive civilizations to 5x. And the crisis strength to 5x. I'm going to reduce the habitable worlds to 0.25. I just want to see how many worlds are actually in the galaxy at 0.25. And also how many of them have primitive civilizations on them. So I'm just going to load that up, then go straight into observe mode, because I just want to see what's...
Amanda.
I'm just kind of curious what's going on in the new system. Sorry, what were you just saying?
Another one from Amanda. What does it say on a robot's tombstone?
What does it say in a robot's tombstone? Rust in peace?
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Anyway, also, Nod Scouter in chat says, on the Fallen Empire thing, they don't have to go to war between opposed ethics. They're just much more likely to say... I always thought they had to.
Yeah. Okay.
But, like, xenophiles can go to war with spiritualists, for instance.
Yeah. So, you can see here, basically, I've reduced the number of planets to its minimum number. So, in terms of what, has Thomas done a straw poll by any chance?
No, he hasn't. But he said, why did the robot win the race?
Something to do with 1, like as in 001.
He's short-circuited.
Oh dear. But yeah, if you can see here, like in this entire area of space, there's one planet here. And then there's one planet over here that's actually got primitives on it. That's a primitive world right there. There's one planet here also got primitives on it. And then there's a planet over here. There's an incredibly small number of planets. Which means, actually, this is a really interesting game type, because all of a sudden, yeah, if you want to grab territory, you absolutely need to be throwing down the little frontier outpost. And sniping frontier outposts in wars, purely for the sake of destroying frontier outposts, might actually be a really, really sensible... Oh, walled garden. I was about to say, we found a nice world there, but nope, that's the world that's going to start these gits to actually destroy you. More robot puns.
Googling robot puns now.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Ron Swanson, excellent name, my friend, says, what's a robot's favourite herb? This isn't going to be funny for John because he doesn't know herbs, but the answer is cilantro.
I was about to say runtime. I'm actually happier with mine. I think runtime is a better one.
Well, cilantro is closer to the actual herb.
What, runtime is literally time?
Yeah, but you add something in front of it. Never mind.
Okay, vote in the chat. Which is better, runtime or whatever the hell Claire just said? Claire, set up a... No, Thomas. Thomas listens to what I say. Thomas, set up a straw poll. There we go.
Anyway.
The nice thing about this, by the way, what I really like is, yeah, it makes...
Thomas just did a straw poll called Should Thomas Do Straw Polls?
Oh dear. The nice thing I like here, by the way, is this makes every planet really damn precious, because the thing is, even if you're wanting to build, and you can't get up to habitats that quickly. It makes every planet really precious, and it also means that fleet caps are going to be really low. So it's going to be really difficult to get your fleet cap up, because the easiest way to get fleet cap up is population growth, more planets, and spaceport levels. And you can't get any of that beyond a certain level, which I think is actually really, really nice. And also, I like the fact that if you just have primitives everywhere, primitives are great, because primitives you can uplift, and basically you can just pick and choose primitives of your liking. So if you find primitives that you kind of like the look of, let's see if we can just find some primitives on here, which totally had some a while ago. Now I can't bloody find any.
Oh god damn it, they like your one better.
Yes, runtime. Runtime is good. So if you find ones that are like this, so you can you find these guys, say, oh, these guys are intelligent. I might need intelligence for doing my science research. So you go up to these guys and you uplift them purely for the sake of actually having intelligence in your empire, if that's what you need to. That I really like uplifting for the sake of just differentiation. Also, we've got a nice thing up here. Ruined Science Nexus. Admittedly, this isn't new to 1.8 or that, but now obviously, if you've got Utopia, you can restore ruined megastructures, which is kind of cool. But I might actually at some point just quietly on my own, or maybe it's a stream at some point, I might actually do a universe that is purely based around having as few planets in it as possible, where every single planet is precious, and there's just a massive land grab. It doesn't matter, because actually they've changed planets, so now you can actually settle them with 20% habitability. Habitability no longer caps happiness; it just is it's a debuff against happiness. So rather than on a 20% habitable planet, happiness being capped at 20%, rather it would take a certain amount. I don't know what the calculation is, and reduce that off your base happiness calculated off your faction if you are a system that has factions, which I think is really cool. I mean, that's actually really, really nice indeed. So we've got these guys over here. Good old communal, happy, quick learning, thrifty guys who are xenophiles over here. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Actually, you're pretty sentient. You might be pretty sentient here. You are...
Oh.
Are you pretty sentient? I don't think so, actually. It doesn't actually say in this mode, so I'm not sure. Yes, and we got more puns. We got more robot puns.
Yeah, we've got a couple more.
Come for the synthetic dawn, stay for the robot puns.
Amanda settled it all by saying the robot added runtime and cilantro to his sandwich before taking a bite.
Excellent.
Which was funny. And also, of course, we've got why did the robot marry his fiancée?
She was the one?
He couldn't resist her.
I think she was the one is better again.
Oh my god. John.
I think I'm coming up with better punchlines here.
Why was the robot bankrupt?
Why was the robot bankrupt?
This one's from Fleshy Meatbag, by the way, just like the users.
Why was the robot bankrupt? I don't know, Claire. Why was the robot bankrupt?
He'd used up all his cash. Anyway, never mind. I thought that was pretty
That's good. That's a good one. That one I do approve of. That one I'm not going to try and replace. Okay, can you remind me? Someone was saying earlier, giving me the console commands. I've set the crisis to be 5 times strength. Can you find me the console command, or someone put it in the chat for trigger crisis?
Space crisis .2000, but apparently you can also do. I think it was 1000 or 200. That was from Jason Abel.
Hang on, event
space crisis.
Yeah.
Dot.
Yeah.
2000.
2000.
Yeah.
Games just said never at me. I'm not sure if I wanted it to do that. Hang on. Let's see if that's actually just happened. Has anything just happened there? I don't see anyone immediately rocking up and causing trouble for anyone. Are we sure? I'm just gonna get time moving at extra speed just in case that kicks off, but I don't see them. I don't see anyone showing up at this exact moment in time. Some people are starting to move around, but I'm not seeing any sign of a crisis right now here.
Yeah, people are saying event crisis dot 1010 or 2000.
Event crisis.
Event.
Yes.
Crisis dot.
Yeah.
2000.
2000.
Yeah, but they're saying you can also do 1000, or someone said 100, someone said 10. There's a whole bunch of different ones, clearly.
Okay, that one's executed and not told me never, so that one's possibly actually done something. Let's actually figure out if that's actually triggered anything to actually happen here. So I just want to see how strong the new crisis would.
Oli said, is it because John is in PB server mode? Whatever that is.
I am. Yeah, this is actually a private. This is actually a private build because it's not public. So it's possible that some of the commands will not work properly, unfortunately. So while I may have access to some things, I may not have access to. It may be a bit funny because this is indeed, this is a private press build. So unfortunately, I may not be able to actually trigger the end game crisis. Unfortunately, if anyone's got any alternative suggestions, then I'm open for that.
Jason Evil says you need to play an Empire.
I actually need to be playing as someone, do I?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well I'll come out of observe mode. No, I want to not observe. Maybe not observe here. Okay, how do I stop? Never mind. I'm just going to restart here. I'm just going to restart these guys. Let's just load up these bastards here. Load up you. Right, now let's just try this again. Let's try this again. Now I'm not observing. I'm not observing right. No, I'm not observing. I'm most definitely not observing right now. Right, so event crisis .2000. Actually, 1000 gave me a better response. There we are. It's happened. We've made it happen. Yay. Okay, so galactic power. Wait, was this the right? I'm trying to remember whether I set the thing to the right level in this universe. Okay, I now know it works. I'm just gonna double check it's set correctly. Shut up. It's fine.
Anyway.
No, it's fine. It's okay. I'm just gonna edit this. Okay, now we know it works. Done that. Yeah. So now the crisis strength is now 5x. Okay, lovely. So that's definitely true. Play that. And now I know. Oh yeah, it's because I was in observe mode. I'm not sure quite why that would be, but whatever. So what?
People are saying the music got very loud when you restarted the game.
Did it?
Apparently.
Let me just quickly fix that. Just check if that's things settings, audio. Should be fine, but I've loaded it a tiny bit more just in case. It might have just been loud for a second. Right. So now, if no, not one. Event crisis .1000. No, I just shut the thing. .1000. There we go, Galactic Power Surge. So now a 5x strength unbidden is about to come through. Now that that's happening, I'm just going to speed up time until they actually arrive. And then I'm going to put myself into observer mode, because then they'll actually be there. So in about a month, they should actually show up.
Yeah, that's what everybody was saying.
There we go. Fascinating alien life from beyond our galaxy. And they are also, well, they want to eat. We're robots. I feel like they probably won't want to eat us. Fine. So now we should be able to observer. Right, so...
Ha! The resistor pun is winning the strobe ball.
No, sorry, observe, not observer. Right.
Anyway, also Jason Abel, who's been sending all these commands to us, says 200 is Pythoran, 1000 is the Unbidden, and 2000 is the contingency.
Ah, okay. Now we need to figure out where they... Actually, I need to know where they bloody are. Hang on, let's just let them do something. I'll figure out, because unfortunately nothing's marked in red when you're this, so they're going to show up somewhere. I'm just not sure where they're bloody showing up. But in all fairness, the Unbidden will probably appear momentarily. I'm pretty sure they'll take over something in a moment, so I just need to keep an eye out for their flags as their empire starts to appear. Where are you? Where are you bastards? Because in all fairness, I think they're going to take over the galaxy. Pretty sure they're going to take over the galaxy, to be honest. If I touch them, I may say I haven't got... Where's their starting system? Where's their starting system? Come on, guys. It should be appearing in blue any second at this point. Ah, there we are. There's the Unbidden. Right. Okay, we found them. They're over here. So, the Unbidden... Oh, bloody hell. Okay, so the Unbidden have got... This is their main fleet guarding the portal. And it is strength 1.4 million. So that's just the fleet that's hanging back guarding the portal right now. That's 1.4 million right there. Okay, but that's not all they've got. They've also got another 600,000 that's just going around over there. That's just one of their, that's something else. That's another one of them that's 500,000 that's now just going around knackering everything. It looks like they actually don't have that many more ships than I've seen before, so I think the game presumably is just buffing the amount of... Yeah, the game just buffs how strong each individual ship is. It's not increasing the size of it, it's just increasing the strength. Because these guys have got 7,000 shields and 25,000 hull points. So I'm pretty sure that's more... Ah! It's the ship modifiers. Look down there. So the weapon damage is plus 750 damage. Ship hull points plus 750. So the way the game is scaling up the crisis is just making each individual ship tougher. Which actually means it's not as bad as it might be, because that means if you can still hard counter them by hitting them with enough firepower at range before they can get into range, you might still have a chance. So, you know what I'm going to do? Claire, why don't you just kind of, give us a little bit of an update. I'm just going to let the game run at the fastest speed, because I've just basically unleashed the strongest Unbidden that has ever existed on a galaxy that hasn't got started yet. So let's just watch those guys expand for it. I think they've just killed their first empire. Claire, have we got any other questions, or do you need to do any other keeping us up?
Yeah, well, the Discord apparently was overloaded for a little bit.
Really?
And
Why?
went down for a second, but now it's back, so if you want to go check that out, you can. Spence Collins said, what was the robot baby's first word?
What was the robot baby's first word? I don't know. What was the robot baby's first word?
Data.
Data. Okay, Unbidden, you're letting the side down here. Ah, it's because they're just building dimensional anchors. They're just building some dimensional anchors right now. So, admittedly, they're just going to literally, at this point, even the most powerful, Fallen Empire in the galaxy is only going to have, 100,000. I think a Fallen Empire begins with about 100,000, maybe 80 to 100,000. They only go up to, 300, 400,000 on an epic galaxy size when they awaken. Then they kind of go up to... I think, I've seen Awakens go up to close to 1 million, but they really need to, it takes them some time to get up to 1 million. Clay, you just went, ooh.
Yeah, Jason Abel, who's been giving us all these control commands, he said you can type mature_empire to skip 100 years if you want. But I think you like to see, the destruction happen.
I think we can get them. So, mature empire by 100...
Mature_empire.
Mature_empire. Let's just see if that does anything right now.
Shout out to Jason also, who gave us...
It didn't like that, for whatever reason. And, the Unbidden are starting... No, the Unbidden are doing it by themselves, actually. They're starting to expand at this point, and more fleets are coming through the portal. There's no one's going to be able to stand up to this at this point. They've got... Oh, beautiful. Absolutely flipping beautiful. 500,000 strength to go, and they're just heading out there doing their own thing. Are they attacking these guys yet? No. Oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are. Multiple fleets are now... Ah! The Unbidden have now actually gone straight over to the flipping... I feel sorry for them. They've gone straight over to the robots, and they've just basically wiped out the new robot Fallen Empire. So those guys they just happened to have run into the new Fallen Empire straight away, which is very, very sad indeed. So the new Robot Fallen Empire kind of destroyed before they really had a chance, because flipping 1.5 million strength just went over to them. And yes, as just like in a normal world, if its defenses go down to the Unbidden, it gets turned into a barren world. A ring world that gets destroyed or eaten by the Unbidden gets turned into a ruined section. So unfortunately, all of their areas have been absolutely destroyed. The poor production lads down here doing their best, producing huge amounts of flipping minerals, but it's not going to do them much good because they're about to be eliminated. I think it actually might be their last world, unfortunately. So the Unbidden have just strolled up to the new Fallen Empire and completely wiped those out. Claire, anything else on your side?
Yes, a shout out to Jason, who gave us $5 Australian and said, I'm finally able to catch an actual live stream. I just needed to be home sick and needed to check YouTube at 6 a.m. Thanks for streaming.
Nice.
We're sorry you're sick. We're sorry you're sick, but we're glad that you're enjoying the stream. And a shout out also to John Morganroth, who gave us $5 and to Merlans, who gave us also $5 and said, I wanted to say thanks for the Resident Evil stream. I listened to it while boarding up the house for Irma. I caught the goodbye screen from Sunday. Well, I hope everything is alright with you after Irma, and thank you so much. Also to Leet Ale, who gave us $10. Said, John and Claire, Stellaris is dead, long live Stellaris. Hopefully you mean it's gonna die because of the Unbidden, and not that it actually doesn't work for you, but do let us know in
I assume chat. Just because the last we just finished the last run and now we're just kind of playing around with this at the minute. I'm guessing that's what that means.
And apparently the command is mature galaxy and not mature_empire.
Ah, that makes sense. Mature_galaxy.
So thank you for everyone pointing that out in the comment. Again, Jason,
there we go.
And Illustrious.
That's interestingly, the Unbidden seem to have not actually done that. Everyone else did, but for some reason the actual Unbidden didn't. Okay, this gives everyone else a chance, damn it. But the Unbidden didn't actually take advantage of this maturing, so we'll just go 100 years there. The Unbidden don't seem to actually be doing that in the slightest, though admittedly I feel like the Unbidden are going to eat them regardless. I feel like this is not going to help. This isn't going to help at all. But you know what? It's nice. The Unbidden now have got more stuff to eat. So at this point, the Unbidden and all their ships are probably just going to head in over here. You guys, they've been matured. Do they actually have all the new... Yeah, okay, I can see they've got some new... Oh, actually, that's my empire. That's my fake empire that I just kind of ignored because I went into observer mode. Unfortunately, these guys are, I think, rogue servitors, so I don't think they've necessarily got much in the way. It's nice to see they actually survived. Lots of other stuff's just been eaten. It's nice to see that these guys managed to survive at least, so that's good. Claire, carry on while the Unbidden have now got some nice, chewy people to eat.
No, people are mostly saying nom 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 nom, and that you're just gonna die. A couple of people asking about after Skyrim. Skyrim's gonna be out after the stream.
Yes, you don't want to miss tonight's Skyrim. Tonight's Skyrim is a really special episode. It's a great episode. It's a very special episode. Do not miss. Claire, carry on.
Sorry, I'm taking a minute thinking about tonight's Skyrim.
Indeed.
A couple of people asking what's a sponsor and what happens when you become one as someone who's never used Twitch. We don't super know it ourselves because this has just come out, and I've watched Twitch a few times, but I'm not sponsoring anyone on Twitch, so I have no idea basically. But it seems to be the exact same thing, so maybe people in chat can tell you. Also, shout out to Marcus Brownback, who gave us 200 Norwegian krona and said, "Hey, more Stellaris, Robo-Vikings for the win." We're not doing like we're not doing like an empire, like creating a new kind of robot Vikings.
No, not really.
Just checking out a few things. Oh, and now people are speculating on what's gonna happen in tonight's Skyrim. Anyway, a tickler has said you should do a challenge run where you spawn the Unbidden and the Scourge at the start of the game. Not sure about that.
Actually, there's one way you win that, And that's you summon the end. You deliberately, you rush psionic as fast as you bloody can, and you basically trigger the end as fast as you can. Because the end can almost certainly be even a max strength, 5x strength unbidden. Like, I think that is true. And the end goes and hunts everything else down before coming to finish you off. So you technically would win a domination victory by default. Because you would actually own, like, you know, you'd be the last kind of survivor in the galaxy. So you'd win domination by default. I think that's the best you could actually do, unfortunately. So those guys are definitely... This seems to have kind of slightly screwed up with the... this does seem to have slightly screwed the... there you are, you guys have just... You guys just took that out and then you didn't actually finish them off. This seems to have slightly screwed with the AI of the Unbidden. They seem to have got suddenly really, really confused by the fact that time just moved forward 200 years, and they didn't. Because now they seem to be going around and not actually killing off any planets. But still, it's nice to know that now the new 5x crisis strength is indeed at, yeah, basically starting off with 1.5 million plus a few fleets of 6,000. So they start off with 2.5 to 3 million strength to start with. Like, and as you've seen in my previous, just at like the end of my Utopia run through, even if you literally unite the entire galaxy, you don't have that much. In fact, that's borderline. I'm not sure how you defeat that. Because even if you know, maybe if you've like been more aggressive, because I was playing a very, you know, a warm fuzzy Federation game, if you've conquered more yourself, and thus you've got more fleet, maybe you can just about pull it off, but I don't know how you'd even have the 2.5 to 3 million strength you'd need to kill the Unbidden. Like, as I say, like, you could do something ridiculously self-destructive, like summoning the end, and then just kind of basically letting the end do the work, but I can't see that as, you know, a particularly good idea, to be perfectly honest. Ah, dear. Right, I'm going to go to an actual rogue servitors. The Unbidden seem to have gotten lazy in the 200 years in which they did absolutely flipping nothing. So I do want to actually do a quick look at the rogue servitors, because the rogue servitors are hilarious. And there's a couple of things actually I want to draw attention to with the rogue servitors. The one is you get to change the bio trophy. And it's not just the aesthetic that you can do. You can choose what your bio trophy looks like. So if you want to, like, you know, have humans or cats or whatever, just keep cats. That seems like a good idea. And you can give them their own names and whatever. But they get traits. Now, the thing to remember about bio trophies do only two things. They reproduce and they produce unity, and unity is a function of happiness. So, and also they can be, they don't choose to migrate. You need to basically relocate them. So there's only three things that matter for bio trophies. How fast are they reproducing? How happy are they? And how cheap is it to reposition them? And that means you can set them up. Basically, there's kind of clearly an optimal thing that is like optimal for these guys. So, for example, there's various negative things that don't matter. So, leader experience gain is irrelevant. You may as well take it for -1 because they can't be leaders. And governing ethics attraction is well, they don't have factions, so I don't think that matters. I think they do actually have. They do have preferences because they don't have factions. The faction doesn't affect doesn't affect their happiness. So I think Deviant is a freebie as well. Habitability -10% you don't want because you're going to want to move them to various planets, and that might cap their happiness, and happiness is the only thing that affects how much unity they're producing. Slow breeders is the last thing you want as well. Weak is fine because they're never going to be fighting and they're never going to be in armies. So once again, you can put weak in there. So now we're up to 5 points with 2 trait picks. Solitary we don't want, sedentary we don't want, that's all fine. Repugnant, yeah, you could have repugnant if you'd rather have repugnant. In fact, actually, it's probably better to have repugnant than, actually no, because they might, no, they can't, oh, but they, yeah, you don't want repugnant, because if there's 2 different species of biotrophy on the same planet, then they would affect the happiness of the other. So you don't want those guys. Fleeting you could have too, because again, they don't have leader. So you may as well actually get rid of deviants for fleeting. So basically, these 3 are completely irrelevant. They will never affect your bio trophy, but they give you trait points that you can do for other stuff. And you do want stuff for other stuff because, as I was saying, there's a few things that do matter. The ones that matter for these guys are you want to get their unity output up, their happiness up, and how easy they are to move. So you want the, hang on, let's just go through these here. Extremely adaptive might be of use if you're planning to settle a bunch of worlds, but maybe a little bit on the expensive side. You absolutely want rapid breeders. You want rapid breeders on these guys always, because rapid breeders gives you, obviously, it just increases the rate at which your borrowed trophies are reproducing, and they're not in any way mechanical, so they will. You want nomadic because the resettlement cost is down 25%, because they will never migrate by themselves. So if you want your borrowed trophies on new planets you're settling, you're going to need to reassign them over there. So you want nomadic on them as well. Now, in theory, I might, because I've still got 3 trait points left. At this point, I could take week off them, to be honest, because I've still got 2 trait points. So it doesn't really matter. And you probably want to give them communal for happiness plus 5%, because happiness will impact their unity output. I don't know if there's anything else that's worth actually having for them. I mean, I guess you could have charismatic, because then if they're sharing a world with other borrowed trophies of a different species, then that would increase the happiness of those. But like, this to my mind is like, when you're setting up your borrowed trophies, this is pretty much the optimal setup, because this is all you want. You want them to be happy, cheap to move around, and reproduce quickly. So I would basically recommend you just kind of keep an eye on that. Anything that reduces the lifespan or experience gain of leaders, take that in order to fund those 3. Rapid breeders, nomadic, and communal are the most important 3 things that you can actually have on your borrowed trophies. So, with that actually set up, and as I've already previously discussed borrowed trophies, I think these guys are set up as rogue servitors, and unitary cohesion, monthly unity plus 15%. This is possibly going to shock you, because the amount of unity these guys can get is ludicrous on toast. So I'm actually going to save that now, because I've just changed the actual, the bio trophy. So we're going to make that done. Sorry, Claire's just breathed in like she wants to say something.
Yeah, while you do that, a shout out to some other guy part 2, Electric Boogaloo, who gave us $50. Thank you so much. He said, I missed the last few streams. How's everybody doing? And we've already informed him in the chat that everybody's broke from a massive donation from last stream.
Yeah, pretty much. That seems reasonable.
Also, we've got a few questions. We've got a few people saying like, oh, I had no idea there was a live stream today. This was just like, you know, kind of spontaneous.
This was pretty. I think I told you about this morning.
Yeah.
Because we do our little kind of meeting where we just chat about how the channel's going each Tuesday, if you've taken Monday off your weekend day, because you take a weekend day on a Monday, because we stream on a weekend. So we just I literally sprung this on you. This morning. Very sorry about that.
And a few more things of housekeeping. A couple of people asking if there's still going to be Skyrim tonight.
There will. There is. This is not going to be a massively long stream. We're going to wrap this up in like not the distant future. I just want to briefly talk about rogue servitors. I think they're really bloody interesting. So let's just get some basic technology underway then. Nothing too fascinating has actually shown up.
Also asked, Adam also asked if YouTube takes a cut of the donations on the live stream. He said, just interested as they are robbing everyone of ad revenue.
They do. I think the cut they take is... Do you remember this off the top of your head?
Who was it who said? I think, Mark Superman in chat said YouTube takes 30%
yeah,
of Super Chat.
That's right. I mean, like, in all fairness, they take 55% of ad revenue. We get 45% of the ad revenue. We get 70% of the Super Chat. I don't know what proportion. I guess it would probably be 70% of the new sponsor thing.
We don't really
but
know,
we don't know. I would
new.
guess it's 70%, but I don't know. Which I don't actually know what Twitch is, by the way, so I can't compare.
Because we can't set up on Twitch and have sponsorship on Twitch without
signing exclusivity, which I don't want to do. So what you'll notice straight away here is literally I haven't done anything yet. And my Rogue Servitor Empire is already gaining +5 unity. Monthly gain +5.47, and I haven't built anything yet. That's just that. And it's also got immediately +4 to influence, and I've obviously also started, because obviously it's the logical technology to start with, the uniform data standards, because all of the technologies have been renamed to be more robot-y. So basically, in a few months, I will actually have influence will be +5, and unity will be +5.47. That's a crazy amount of unity. So if I go down onto the surface here, you'll see how this all works. So basically, a cat lives inside an organic sanctuary, which has got a cost of 1 maintenance and produces 1 unity. Except, it's not producing 1 unity, it's actually producing 1.4 unity, because it's being boosted by unitary cohesion, which is the trait I took, or is it the Civic? I think the Civic, sorry. And happiness is +17.5%. because these guys are happy, happy, happy bunnies. Base 50, communal plus 5%, and mandatory pampering gives them plus 40%. So bio trophies are extremely flipping happy. So straight away, every single one of these guys is producing, thanks to the way I've set up my empire, plus 1.4 unity each. Now, wherever you move them, the building moves with them. I guess it's like, you know, like a modular thing or something. So basically, you want to have these guys sitting on empty tiles, so they're not filling tiles that have actually got anything useful on them. So literally, I've got only 2 flipping bio guys on my entire empire, and I'm producing flipping 5 unity right now, which is just flipping crazy. Also worth noting, of course, these guys do need food, so you need to actually produce some food as part of this empire, but for the most part, obviously, robots don't require food. They require consumer goods, but they don't actually require food to eat. But you'll also notice pop maintenance, as they are robots, even though they require minerals to build, they still require energy credits to maintain. So as a result, yeah, these guys basically, they eat minerals, a few minerals through consumer goods, and they also require some energy as well. If I just go over to the species tab right now, yeah, let me just quickly check this. So those guys are machine integration. So give me the, yeah, they're drones. So they have consumer goods cost of 0.5 per population, which is fine. Whereas if I go over to the excess, which is what I call my little organics, because they are technically excess to requirements, then mandatory pampering means actually they've got a consumer goods cost of 3. So these guys get expensive because obviously they're being pampered. So they get everything their little hearts could desire. So these kitty cats are a little bit on the expense side. Also, I really like that the flavor text is, "Who's a good bio trophy? You are! Yes, you are!" Which is very appropriate given they are actually cats. They are actually cats, which is quite cute. Now, obviously, I can't change over to machine integration because that's not... that's obviously not actually one of mine, and I can't make them slaves because that's not what we do over here. We are lovely, lovely rogue servitors. So obviously what I want to do pretty much immediately is if I just start time ticking along, these guys will start reproducing, but they're going to start reproducing really, really bloody fast. My unity is going to go flipping mental. So let's just quickly just kind of send the first legion around, because I've set the planet's frequency at 0.75, which is now the default. That's the default that it actually appears at. So I'm going to assume that's all as it should be. Also, I'm going to assume that the bio trophy, just by default, it's the bio trophy's like climate preference is whatever you set your world to. I didn't actually check that, but this is I just said this is a Savannah world, didn't I? I think I said, yeah, Savannah world, and I assume these guys, yeah, they just have their climate preference just matches wherever they are. So we just want another Savannah world or similar. So I'm just going to speed up time actually. We're not actually playing properly, obviously, because otherwise I would already be like building stuff. But if I want to, say, let's just also get down here and also build an uplink node, which is the new autochthonic monument. So we'll get that in production. That's being built right now, and obviously robots are allowed to man that, same as anything else. These guys are going to start growing very, very quickly indeed, because they're growing at 20% faster because of the rapid breeder business. So these guys are going to start getting into production really damn soon. Then in a moment, as soon as this thing's done, I'm going to whack these guys over to here. Sadly, of course, there's no way to be a rogue servitor and a spiritualist, so I can't actually double build with temples as well, as hilarious as that would be, because with tossing temples on top as well, your unity would be ridiculous. Now I'm going to move that over to there. That gets to, and that's finished its construction queue. Just pause there. So we'll see there, yes indeed. That is 2.87 being collected from that node right there, because the servitor morale is average. Basically, the more bio trophies, basically the game is keeping an eye on the ratio of robots to organics. The higher the number of organics basically within your empire, your robots are happier. So if you could just spam robots everywhere, but it made them unhappy because they want to be pampering organics, damn it. So as a result of there being a fair few organics floating around in my empire right now, the servitor morale is average, so you get plus 20% straight away. Now the 15% of unitary cohesion, my leader is giving plus 6%, and indeed the governor of the planet is giving plus 2% there as well. So screw it, we've also got, yeah, governor unit N7! It's Commander Shepard in robot form for whatever reason. Lovely. So that's
we've
now...
got a few people in chat asking if you would take a look at the shipbuilder for the rebalance hull and components. From
Yes,
the batch.
yes. This is
So that's
very,
from,
this is very worth pointing out.
That was from Unit Rico and Superman.
Yeah, I think we might not be able to really properly see it yet because I've only got the Corvettes and what have you, and I literally don't have any technology unlocked. Basically, they've tried to solve the naked Corvette problem by having Claire's laughing. She probably doesn't know what the naked Corvette problem is.
I know what the naked Corvette problem is.
Basically, yeah, the new scaling for like new armor and new weapons, etc. Basically, they've tried to change the costs of things, so now it is now just because of the cost of ships. Because if I now go, yeah, the cost of a basic Corvette is now 100. So basically, Corvettes are now quite expensive, and the increase in price from giving it upgrades is now going to, and thus the kind of the increase in combat effectiveness is basically designed to all balance together to basically say it's no longer going to be more cost efficient to just have a ridiculously large number of naked Corvettes. Actually, having a smaller number of more expensive upgraded Corvettes should now be better. So the basic Corvette now has the 300 hull points, tiny bit of armor, no shields, evasion at 60%, and the cost is 100.
Sometimes YouTuber says there's also no governors for separate core sector planets, just one.
Yeah,
sector.
now you just have a single one, so now all of your core sector planets have... okay, this is interesting. I'd missed that. This is why the robots don't have the Civic for the bureaucracy. They automatically, by virtue of being part of the Robo hive mind, get +2 by default. So they get 5 core systems just by default, which is nice. So let's just go over here. These guys come here. So you notice, by the way, I've built one building, and my Unity now is flipping +8.34. Right, it's the first year of the game, and my Unity is +8.34, which is, as far as I'm concerned, ludicrous on toast. And I think, like, the influence gain for Rogue Servitors is really generous, because, say, sure, in, like, an organic thing, you get it from factions, but even egalitarians aren't swimming in that much Unity. Okay, fine. Egalitarians probably the ones that actually are. Everyone else, like, even a big faction that you're really doing everything to try and help out, like, say, in my Xenophile playthrough in Utopia, when I went really Xenophile, the Xenophile faction, which was the most people, was still only giving me, like... I think it was giving me, like, 1.8 influence per turn. Straight away, I'm getting a base of 2. I'm getting a free 1 out of just being the Robo hive mind. And right now I'm getting +1 from the servitor morale being average. So basically, I just want these guys to be able to reproduce as fast as possible. And I need to give them space to grow into, or I need to start basically looking for planets for them to expand. So you basically need to be constantly expanding to give your new little bio trophies space to grow. This is that's a tiny savannah world. That's a slightly bigger savannah world. That's better. Okay, let's just kind of send a science vessel over there just to survey that system, and after he's done, he can just go over here. He'll survey that system.
Ooh.
Yes.
Black Sub says you can type in the console research_technologies.
Yeah.
To research all of the technologies.
So
you can play around with the new stuff, basically.
I probably wouldn't have the money to... I don't think I need to at this exact moment in time. But you'll notice, basically, it's February of the 2nd year, and I've got my first flipping tradition has just come in straight away, which is just, as far as I'm concerned, bloody ludicrous. Oh, and you see what I was talking about earlier? The Rogue Servitors do basically get to have the Paradise Dome, which is, as far as I'm concerned, really, really bloody nice. Actually, it's okay. It's basically a free upgrade where all the organic sanctuaries just become organic paradises. So instead of it being a new building, it's an upgrade for all the bio things. It just increases happiness by 10%, but my happiness is already at 95%. In fact, actually, as long as you keep them on a happy planet, it's 90 by default, because it's 50 base plus 40 just for being a bio trophy. So this would get it up to 100, but I guess if you're going to start settling planets that aren't as happy, that aren't like perfect matches, and if, like now, planets are less common, you might have to do that. At that point, that could well be useful, which is kind of nice. Unrest is completely pointless for this sort of empire, but it's really... I like the new expansion. I didn't really talk about this earlier, but I talked about it briefly. Yeah, now capital buildings all produce an additional unity straight away, straight into the unity cost going down. But yeah, what's really fascinating is the new, the versatility thing. So now we've got, yeah, universal compatibility, so you can form a federation. I would guess the Rogue Servitors are probably the only robots that could form a federation with organics. I haven't done it yet, but I would guess that would indeed be the case. But, like, yeah, particularly of interest in versatility is this new damn thing with material analysis, where now, as a result, yeah, you get yourself Unity plus 5% per unique strategic resource. And potentially, if you wanted to, domination and just having vassals. Just because, yeah, again, symbolic liberty for another 30%. Like, if you want to max out your Unity, rogue servitors that have vassals and have versatility, that's just crazy. Also, they've rejigged in traditions the new adoption and finishing effects. So now, yeah, the new adoption is now, it's not the, it used to be the +1 pop for free on each planet. Was that the first one? Anyway, they've changed it slightly. Now it's just colony development speed increased by 100%, so you settle colonies a lot faster, which isn't that good, but it's worth having just for capital buildings, producing 1 additional unity, as far as I'm concerned. Plus, as far as I'm concerned, rushing to the couriers or extensible software is always worth doing. Like, if you're planning to expand at all, I think you should pretty much always be doing that. So I've sent my science vessel off to go and handle that, while these guys are just kind of growing as fast as you'd like. And my ship's just kind of bumming around right now. I know, obviously, like, you know, I could have my constructor ship. Like, I should have I should have actually built a second, you know, I will build a second science vessel. Why the bloody hell not, eh? Let's get another science ship in production there.
Shout out to Alex Williams, who gave us $1 and said just a small donation to the best gaming channel on YouTube. Thank you very much for that.
Nice.
And also to a sometimes YouTuber who gave us £2. How dare you make this comment? He said, nutrient paste, aka Solian Green, hashtag eat the tabbies. How dare you, my good sir? How dare you? We are not eating the tabbies. Also, shout out to Patrick Jackson, who was asking whether John is the worst boss or the best boss or both.
Best boss, obviously.
Hearing that you were on the team made me finally sort out Patreon. Thank you so much. I wish I could say John is the worst boss, but he's actually pretty good because he was managing people.
Hang on, I'll cover my ears so I can't hear what Claire's saying. Feel free to be honest, Claire.
Well, John was managing people in his job before he went full-time on YouTube and before he hired me. And also we're still very good friends with someone that John used to manage. So I double-checked with him first if John was a good boss or not before I said yes.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
And he said, no, run away. Run the hell away.
I mean, this person is actually too nice to, like,
that's true.
Really be terrible, but I think he would tell me. Also, we have an intense debate in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Sir Roderick wanted to know, when you say ludicrous on toast,
yes,
does it mean ludicrous spread over toast or ludicrous, like, high sustained by toast?
Ludicrous spread over toast, I'd say. That's always been my take on it.
Well, there's a poll right now
going
on.
That's always been my take on it anyway. By the way, you probably noticed there just for a second, I didn't mention it because Claire was saying something there, but the way that the game offsets the fact that all of your, like, robots are immortal, and thus you don't need to replace them, is the initial recruitment cost is a lot higher. So the recruitment cost for a robot is 100 influence, but bear in mind, of course, they will actually, you know, live forever. So as a result, like, you know, it's a one-time outlay thing, and it's definitely worth it. You notice there, obviously, right now it says skill level 1 out of 5. As I was saying earlier, over in the technology, the new system that's been added. Oh, we've discovered alien life. Lovely. So that probably means I forgot to actually turn down the 5x chance of primitive life showing up on a world. Never mind, eh? So that's probably going to be fine. Yeah, so for example, over here we've got the, where is it? Yeah, Empire Leader, no, that's Empire Leader capacity. Where was the modification points? Somewhere, there's one that increases the flipping, I know Supremacy's got one of these at least. Hang on, where's that guy? Unity outputs. Yeah,
nice.
Admiral level cap increased by 2. So that means your admirals could go up to 7. So if you're a robot especially, you want to be chasing all those perks. Because if you're, like, literally, if you're a robot, there's a good chance, like, your organic counterparts will be simply incapable of actually getting up to the max level before they die of old age. Especially if they haven't been investing in, like, increasing their lifespan. Whereas you'll literally have an advantage on that, which is really nice. Or your organic empires, at some point their admiral will die, and when the new admiral comes in, that might be a really good opportunity for you to actually go and attack, which would be nice. This is a perfectly good planet. Right, let's get ourselves a flipping I want to say colony ship. I can't afford a colony ship. Claire, what's the console command to give myself free money?
Chad, what's the console command for John to give himself free money? Hey,
What's the cheat command?
Whilst the chat comes up with that, we've got new fan art by Conscript David that Thomas is very kindly spamming in the chat right now. So only use do tabbies.
It's a tabby being loved. I'm possibly kicking a robot into some lava. Is that what he's doing?
I don't know, but that made me think of you know the gif of the cat just like shoving things off the shelf. that you used recently to describe YouTube's new advertiser-friendly decision making.
It's fair. Obviously, like at this point, what I should be doing is I should be scanning the systems that immediately fall within my empire, and actually, using and actually kind of setting up my first mining things and scouting around and looking for my enemies. But I just kind of want to lay down a new system as soon as possible, just to kind of show that off because I think that's really really interesting. So we'll just speed that up as well.
Apparently, the console command is either minerals or unity or energy, and then the number that you want.
Ah, perfect. So we'll just quickly give myself minerals. I don't need
also,
that many.
Thomas says John is a great boss.
Yay!
Thomas,
Sorry, I just gave myself free money.
Yeah. You were yelling in happiness so much you didn't hear Thomas saying nice things about you. Thomas says John is a great boss. Us mods are not his employees, but he manages us very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Conscript David says that's exactly the point. The cat is indeed shoving the robot off a ledge.
And the robot technically wouldn't actually mind. And we'll see that straight away. Okay, the year is 2202. My second tradition just kicked in. And we've got in just one more month, we're actually going to have ourselves, I think it might not quite be next month, in fact. We've already got tradition, the next available. So now we've got capital buildings producing additional unity. Unity just goes up gonna go up again, by the way. Because literally, I love this build and I love this empire. Because that's now producing... Should that not produce one? Does that not? Oh no, that should count over there. Fine. So that's now capturing even more. So yeah, Unity...
Thomas says he takes back the nice things he said about you.
There it goes.
You just ignored him.
There it goes. Thomas, I love you. You're amazing. But look at this. Look at this. Okay, just if you know this game, this is stupid. The year is 2202. I've literally had one biological pop grow. I've laid down the upload link or the autochthonic monument if you're organic. My unity is plus 10 a month. Over 10. I'm going to have by the year 2203, I'm going to have 3 flipping tradition perks. I could rush to an ascension perk so quickly. It is just stupid how fast that this particular style of empire is capable of rushing to an ascension. Like, I'm nearly halfway there. By 2203, I'm going to be halfway to my first ascension perk. That is... I don't think any previous empire has been capable of doing that. Maybe Spiritualists could have done this. I don't think any other empire can rush Unity as fast as the Rogue Servitors, which is why I really like them. It's my... I know I'm still building that right now. This science ship needs a leader, so I need to spend some influence on that. I've got the... Archaeologist. I always like the Archaeologist thing, because, the research speed and nominal fail risk. I always like a nominally failure risk, so we'll get you out of there. You doing anything right now? Well, in that case, you may as well scan this local area. Why not? Survey this system, and you're done over there. Just go and scan this system over here. Why not go and scan that over there? Lovely. As usual, by the way, this is just a hyperdrive only system, because I always just love hyperdrive only. Hyperdrive only is the best. It's my favourite thing. So
we've got a couple people in the chat asking, like, if this is going to get uploaded to the channel.
Yeah, later tonight, in fact. I'm just going to do it pretty much immediately. There's no reason not to do it pretty much immediately, as far as I'm concerned.
Because it's not going to be above...
It's not going to be over 4 hours, so this will be up later tonight. This will be up later tonight.
So after we're done with this, which ought to be shortly, because it's 10 now, we're going to have a Skyrim episode not to miss, and then this is going to be uploaded. Also, David Loftus in the chat asks, have they altered sector management or is the UI or the UI for searching for planets to terraform, etc., or is that still the same?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I was distracted by an alert there.
Yeah. Something shiny distracted John from me talking.
Yeah.
That never happens. David wanted to know if they've altered the sector management or the UI for searching for planets to terraform.
they've changed sector management. It no longer costs influence to take planets out of sectors. That I know. But other than that, I literally can't create a new sector for you right now because I literally only have one planet, so the game doesn't actually let me do it. This looks about the same as it ever did. As for the expansion planner, for example, yeah, factions is disabled first. The expansion planner I think is about the same too. I don't see much in the way of difference there. I know for a fact, yeah, they've taken the cost away from that, and I think I've accidentally managed to spawn smugglers inside my own system, which is hilarious. So let's get you back over here to help out with that.
Yeah, a few people are kind of disagreeing with like how fast you're thinking this is going. Jordan says spiritualists could get close, but not quite this fast. A couple of people are pointing out that pacifists with agrarian ideal could do it. Xenophobe/pacifists could. That's Zeta. Whiskers says every time a paradox game gets an expansion and features are just plain broken, they'll patch it later.
I'm not sure this is broken. I think this is.
Well,
I
a
think
few
this
people
is
are
fine.
saying they think it's OP basically. Zenteski says empires with inwards perfection and agrarian ideal before 1.8 was even faster with Unity than
Sure,
now.
okay, that's true. But agrarian ideal does have the advantage that you need to have farms everywhere, and by like pretty much anything after the early game, you want as few farms as possible, because farms is just wasted ground that should be doing more productive stuff. Because like a tiny number of farms can feed just about everything. So for the most part, you really don't want to be bothering with all that business. Let's just also just bring my fleet over here, and then see if I can just pull these here smugglers over towards my battle station to get them out of the way. And now my colony ship is on the way.
Illustrious wants to know why the pampering robots look like the Terminators.
That's very judgmental. There's nothing wrong with the pampering robots.
Alex Cypress says, thank you so much for all your hard work. I look forward to hearing your comments and reactions as much as I do John's, especially when you're reacting to his silliness. That's nonsense. John is never silly or annoying or anything like that.
Look, you, just get on your way. I think... Okay, this ship that was supposed to be evasive was just stuck not doing anything. Right.
I mean, this would have been funnier if John had been listening to me when I read the comment, but never mind, eh? Also, shout out to Nox Ironwall, who said, I was working and actually got off super early. The surprise live stream is amazing. We're glad that you're enjoying it. And
what am I using? Oh, I'm using lasers. Well, that's fine. Lasers will cut through these guys pretty easily, and it's 3 against 2. These guys will go down nice and fast, and that'll get rid of the fact everyone is supposed to be evading hostiles, but they're blatantly not. They're just not bothering to evade hostiles. Okay, so 2203. We're now up to the tradition cost, so obviously I always rush that one, because that now gets the cost down for that. I think we've just defeated those guys. One of them just ran away. That's absolutely fine. So we're up to now, yeah, we're now 3 of the 6 away from our first thing there, and now I've just cut down the cost from settling New World. So on the New World, I can then get another one of those down. So we're going to go settle this world as quickly as possible. And also, we've got the... Am I settling the... Do I already got the thing to settle worlds? Yeah, I've already got the settling worlds twice as fast thing. It's taken care of. And, obviously, right now, a food surplus has just kicked in. So now, all of a sudden, back on the home planet, these guys are going to start growing like mad. They're now growing at 1.49 a month. So these guys are now going to start growing like crazy, which is just flipping beautiful. So we'll just spend some extra money clearing this out of the way as well, just so we've got extra space for these guys. This guy is now going to settle this world as soon as possible. Then we can start moving people out, which you're going to see is stupid cheap, because I've set them up to be cheap to migrate. Actually, biotrophies by default, one of their conditions is their resettlement cost is minus 50%, and I've taken another 50% off that 50%, though it doesn't, sadly, it's not additive, so that's 75% reduction in their actual resettlement cost. So they're super cheap to move around. The cats can be moved around very easily. You just kind of shove them in a cat cage and take them to the vet. Nice and simple. So those guys are now doing that. You guys just chilling out over here. You guys probably go and get yourselves healed up, please, as you took a few knocks there. And then, yes, very soon indeed we'll have our first colony down. And that colony will, or should settle, incredibly flipping quickly. So that colony is currently on its way. Just speed things up here for a second. First Legion's being repaired. Are you down yet? Come on, hurry it up, please. There we are. So that's now being settled. A great day for the 1011011001. Marvellous. So those guys are now settling, and that should happen nice and quickly. So that's going to take 28 months. Research that. Why the bloody hell not, eh? So yeah, that's now happening. By 2206, we'll have the second colony down. But meanwhile, back over here on XO1, Unity's now risen to 11.6. We've found silicon life forms. Marvellous. 11.6. We've got a new bio trophy there. And another one is already coming in. And once again, deep space dwellers. Ooh. We have discovered extra morphile organics navigating deep space. Probably that's just one of the creatures rather than another empire. So these guys are now growing stupid, ludicrously fast. Which is marvellous, because yeah, we've now got the food surplus. So these guys are now just coming in at stupid speed as well. Unity is now up to that. So the next one is now 9 months away already. So I'm just basically, I want to see how early in the game I can get my first ascension perk. And I'm going to basically just try, and basically that's all I'm trying to do. So these guys are now down, which is lovely. I don't care about anything else. I know I've technically cheated a bit because I gave myself a giant pile of minerals. So, okay, this is not actually a scientific experiment because I did actually rush to a colony ship earlier than I should have actually been allowed it. So, okay, don't, take all this with a pinch of salt. But my point is, like, how quickly these guys can actually gain the influence is still ridiculous. Because most of this is going to happen even before the second colony actually goes down. And that second colony is going down bloody quickly, thanks to those perks. And while it's going down, Claire, get us caught up if there's anything worth saying about.
Well, there's just some chatter going on in the chat. A few people who just arrived kind of asking, what is this DLC? This seems
this
like
is Synthetic
it's a little
Dawn!
bit wacky, and asking like how we're playing it before it's out, all that kind of thing.
Because they are lovely, lovely people over at Paradox, and they let me have it just a tiny bit early.
Yeah, exactly.
And, new colonies start with an additional pop. That moved down here. That's still a new thing. That's even more important for bio trophies. Oh my goodness, that's going to be ridiculous, because that's going to be an extra free bio trophy on my first colony. That's ludicrous. Everything is good. Everything is good. Everything is absolutely good here.
Yeah, David Loftus wanted to know if we have a good relationship with a lot of developers, because we've been kind of talking about review codes and stuff like that in the chat.
Yeah, it also depends on the developer and kind of what they actually do as well.
How they feel about YouTubers, but I think generally the ones that are open to YouTube we have a fairly good relationship with. It's just like a professional.
And some of them make a lot of effort to be friendly to YouTubers. Like Square Enix in the West makes a lot of effort to do outreach stuff. Whereas some publishers don't do so much. Paradox are lovely for the most part. They're very, very lovely people. Now, admittedly, I could have done this faster. If I'd been lucky enough that one of the potential leads I could have recruited had, like, plus to growth rate, and thus I could have actually hit the food cap faster, I might be able to do this even slightly faster than what I've just done. But if I'm right, this whole extra person spawning, I'm kind of hoping that actually it's probably going to be a robot, isn't it? It's probably going to be a robot, unfortunately. Monthly gain has now gone up to... Yeah, servitor morale is currently high because that's now giving me plus 1.5 influence per month because the ratio of organics to robots is good because I've not been building more robots. Instead, I've just been letting the organics grow and they grow naturally over time, unlike in the driven assimilator. So at this point now, we're gaining plus 6 influence and plus 13.43 unity.
As sometimes YouTuber says
ludicrous.
That,
yes.
As sometimes YouTuber says that one of the major Europa Universalis developers, who obviously works for Paradox, began as a streamer for that game.
I've heard that before sometimes, especially for like big niche strategy games. That sort of thing does actually happen. I've heard of that sort of thing happening before. Research speed.
Yeah, well, John's not going to do that anytime soon because he doesn't have coding skills. But
I have other skills. I could go into a marketing team in a studio. That's kind of one of my backup roles if everything went horribly wrong with the YouTube situation.
Anyway, we've got a couple more donations just coming now. So thank you to Nicholas Arrea, who gave us $5 and said, "Hey John, I'm just popping in before I go to work. I'm headed off to work feeling very sick, so wish me luck."
Surface settlement established.
Good luck.
Right, good. He was listening this time around. And a shout out to Anthony, who was also on the last stream. He gave us $2 and said it's the perfect background for a 5 miles power run.
Excellent.
So good luck with your run again.
So clear this one out, and now we need to start moving some people around because this planet's almost already full of cats. Too many cats, Claire. That's
no
the
such thing as too many cats, John.
So this cat. So we now need to stop. We need to immediately resettle some cats, and this is where stuff. This is where stuff gets interesting because now we can start resettling cats for free off, off tiles that actually have something good on them, and we'll send a cat over to here. The resettlement cost 12.5. Alright, I'm gaining flipping plus 5.5 a month, and a resettlement for resettling a cat is 5.5. And that just clears a load of space off here. And these cats can straight away just start being inside their lovely little biomes immediately. The moment I resettle them, the biomes will just appear for them. So I may as well spread the cats out as much as possible. Huh?
We've got a message from the 44 Buzzkill who gave us 50 Swedish krona and said, I took a shot every time John said ludicrous, and now I feel sick.
Terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Mate, be safe, have some water.
Yeah. Meanwhile, moving robots is more expensive, so don't do that. So we're going to resettle those 3 pops straight away. And immediately, those pops are now straight away over there, and they're already producing their 1 unity. But now, of course, now that we get time ticking along again, now if we just kind of go over to here, this pop is already reproducing, and in any minute now, well, actually, another advantage, we can straight away actually upgrade this building because we've moved these pops over. It's so cheap. We've got 5 pops on this planet already, so straight away, the actual deployment post can be upgraded to a proper planetary administration, which produces everybody together, yet more unity! And now, obviously, now we've got these 2 planets, these systems are now going to start mass producing even more unity because now 2 planets are all reproducing cats. So now the cats are reproducing twice as fast. Speaking of which, let's get another upload node down for another 2 that any of these robots that we've already got can actually get underway. So we may as well get you just moving straight over here, and you can actually produce that the moment the time is right. So now at this point, yeah, we're up to, with the year is 2206. Influence gain is now at 13.15, and that's a unity gain at 13.15, and influence gain at plus. So we're now a year away from actual tradition number 5. I know there's only 3 down, but unfortunately you need to actually spend 1 tradition opening up the tree. So at this point, we probably start just speeding that up because there's now not much we can do aside from just laying down more planets where we can just have more tabbies set up. But obviously these more tabbies. But let's not do that. Let's just kind of just do this.
Let's do that. Let's have more tabbies.
This planet is not a very good planet. You notice, you'll probably notice, by the way, these are just not not many actual systems have shown up. So I'm just going to actually just because the number of systems by default is now the default is what the game calls 0.75. Basically, there's supposed to be a smaller number of planets that are more valuable, thus presumably increasing the incentive to use frontier outposts more interestingly and tactically. So I'm just going to send my main fleet just around here to see what's kind of floating around at this exact moment in time. That front. This over here is almost done. So this is now going to jump as soon as this is done in a second. That should be done. Oh, no, sorry. What were you building before that? Oh, you were building this. So that's now just gone up there because obviously now this building's now picking up 1.67 unity of the buildings. We were able to upgrade that immediately because of all the flipping tabbies. Now that building's been built. So that's going to be another 2 unity, but that's going to be boosted to about 2.8 off the back of robots being happy. Any minute. We've got, there we are, there's number flipping 5 right over there. That's up popped in immediately. So now the signal relay station. So now obviously frontier outposts are now, we can lay those down cheaper. And now in 29 months, and we're going to start speeding that up obviously because right now we're at 14.82, we'll actually get our first ascension perk, which is marvellous. And we've actually found some enigmatic spacefarers for once, which is nice. We've actually run into something, and does this actually belong to anyone? I don't think this actually belongs to anyone. I think we might have found something that belongs to someone. That's an arid world. That might be of interest. I'm just going to send a science ship, which is the closest. You just go and check that out, because arid's pretty close to savannah, so that might be worth having a look see. This is a tropical world. We don't send the tabbies there. The tabbies like it to be toasty, so we don't want to send it to a world with water on it, because it might rain. Then the tabbies would be sad.
Yes, the tabbies like to be warm and toasty and dry.
It is extremely important that the tabbies are warm and toasty, yes.
And dry.
Absolutely. So, yeah, at this point we've now got... okay, a new tabby's just come in. Influence is now 19.61. 19.61. 8 years after the game has become... And okay, fine, I'm aware you could probably do this with Spiritualists or Agrarian Adil or whatever, but this is like, I just think this is why I love these guys. Like, the other two empires I can take or leave, but Rogue Servitors, genuinely hilarious. I think these guys are absolutely flipping hilarious. And at this point, yeah, we're gaining +6. We've just interacted with something again. Probably I should actually build a pop for 100, just get a new population in there, and at the same time, while he's building, actually build a new, we're a little bit low on minerals, let's just get a mining network in there, lovely. How fast do you actually build? You take 30 to grow. Okay, fine. So these guys take a little bit of time. Obviously, you know, understandably, a population takes a while to build, and I could have actually, with traits, made that a little bit faster than it actually was. These guys just bumming around, that was just an alien vessel. Like, this guy's just gone around all these systems and not found a single planet. Never mind a good planet, not a single planet is here. So I think you can see what I mean about planets being a lot more scarce, but also a lot more valuable at this point. And now with that 19, we're basically, yep, we're going to do it. Basically, before we hit 2210, we're going to have an ascension perk. Claire, do you have anything else you need to read out, or questions or whatever?
Yeah, shout out to Brian Deficit Disorder, who gave us $3 and said, "Holy shit, live stream I can watch in person," which is great. Thanks for, you know, donating, and we're glad that we can have you in person live. Also, Bobtron wanted to know if there are any more co-op videos planned in the future.
Yes, actually.
I really enjoy when you and John are playing a game together.
Yes, we literally actually just... Actually, I don't think we've sent it yet, but we have requested code for a co-op game that we sort of already a bit know. But you'll see.
Yes, and in fact a second one of those co-op games that we maybe already a bit know.
Ah, yes.
I'm really excited
That's true, that's true.
So yeah, I think we have like 3.
Yeah, we got some... Yeah. Claire, for whatever
yeah.
reason, the community likes Claire, so there's going to be more Claire. So we've... She said the thing!
Also, Thomas mentioned earlier in the stream, he's really proud of having been the one to point out to you that I say "oh" a lot. Yeah.
So we've actually run into some Xenophile materialists. So if anyone's going to like us, it's these guys. So we just reply protect and serve to them. We've got a first alien encounter. Slow things down. Where are you guys? You guys are down here. So you guys presumably contacted us. So they... Ah! You see, this is interesting. They actually are, yeah, new contact -20, but because these guys are materialists, they've got the actual modifier they've got is sophisticated machines +40, xenophilia +20. So materialists fundamentally like robots. So rogue servitors, to actually answer a question that came up earlier, actually it's quite possible that rogue servitors would fairly easily be able to actually build a federation with materialists. Though I'm not sure whether you know, the assimilators would get such a good response. I suspect they might not. Totally, however, will form a non-aggression pact with those guys, which will increase trust. I might actually see if I can even potentially build get a federation going with those guys. Oh, we found a couple of planets over here, but obviously, like, we haven't surveyed them yet, and some of them are oceans now. We've got, oh, hello. I've just got, yeah, you guys research that, why not? Because obviously there's 2 ocean worlds around here. I'm gonna guess, actually I've never verified this, maybe someone in the chat can tell me this. I've always assumed that even if you like, even if you like specify you want the galaxy to be as random as possible, the game always seems to like by default give you a better than average chance of having a planet that matches your ideal planet type close by to you. So I'm going to guess that somewhere over here there's an ocean-loving society, because I've run into 2 ocean worlds over here, so I'm guessing that's the case. I've never been able to find like the maths behind that or anything, but it just feels like that is in fact the case, to me anyway. So let's just check what's going on here. Yeah, we've got more tabbies coming in. That's tabby growing. More tabbies growing over here as well. That tabby's almost grown. So I think actually, yep, next month we will actually have, at the end of this month, we will have a new tabby coming in. That'll push our unity north of 20. We found some alien writing. Lovely, end of this month. There we are, new tabby pops in. Once again, happy tabby. So unity output now up to basically +21. 8 months away from an ascension perk. So that's pretty incredible. That's pretty bloody... maybe I'm being too impressed by this. I personally think this is really, really damn cool. And I love this. Like, if I do a Synthetic Dawn run-through, it will totally be Rogue Servitors. I find Rogue Servitors very, very fascinating indeed. And we'll just kind of keep things growing at this point. I don't see any other way. Yeah, I've got that up. I don't see any other way of building... This is the only other way of boosting my Unity at this point. Oh, by the way, the robots get the nutrient paste facility, so they can actually produce food even more efficiently. So if I build a nutrient paste facility right here, then food 3, and then also nutrient paste is +5. So I can get 8 food in a single area, which I think is actually pretty bloody useful. So that's actually pretty damn good. There it is. Stop the clock. Stop the clock. So at halfway through 2209, 9 years after the game began, we were able to wrap up with Cogs in the Machine, Frontier Outpost upkeep reduced by 50%, and we've unlocked our first Ascension perk. Which is beautiful. Which is just beautiful. Sadly, we can't jump to Synthetic Age or Machine Worlds. Machine Worlds, you have to already have the climate transformation technology, and also it needs to be your 3rd perk. So I can't rush to Machine Worlds, and Synthetic Age also requires 2 other Ascension perks. So that needs to be the 3rd one as well if you want to go into machine modding. So sadly, I can't rush to any of that. What else have I got here? Oh, this is a new one. Sorry, I forgot to point this out. There's a new Ascension perk. This is new. Shared Destiny. Subject Integration Influence cost -50%. Honestly, I don't think that's that great. I mean, I guess like by the end of my Utopia playthrough, I was finding like I couldn't really be bothered to cost that. But if you've got plenty of influence coming in, or if you're just happy with vassals, it kind of goes against the new domination tree. If you don't care about the domination tree, that's fine. Oh, and Mastery of Nature has been nerfed. For those people who thought it was too good. I never thought it was that good. But everyone always said, oh, I always take this one first. I didn't. I never got it. But Mastery of Nature is now 50% tile blocker. So you can clear almost all tile blockers, but now it's not for free. Now it's just half price. So it's not quite as good as it used to be. Research speed is still only +10%, which I still think isn't actually that good. And Instant Million, I still think is great with +25% border range. I always think border range is never a bad thing. And Imperial Prerogative, I always think is good, just because of the extra taxation you're able to squeeze out of directly controlling more systems, but whatever, right? In all fairness, I've already got that up to 7 now, because the finisher effective expansion is +2. So I'm just going to take Instant Dominion, because I personally find it fun. There we go, lovely. So that will be like that, and that is our first flipping... I love that we've just got, in 2209, a flipping Ascension perk, and already we're only 33 months out for the next, so you could really rush to Machine Worlds if you wanted to. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, it's 25 past 10.
Yeah,
I
was wondering when you were gonna notice that.
Don't worry. I just wanted to. I was curious, like how fast I could rush, because I really wanted to talk about this ridiculous build. Because I think rogue servitors are hilarious. I genuinely think they're a really, really fun thing to have. And with like influence +6. And Unity +20 this early on. Okay, fine, I had to mod myself some minerals so I could expand a bit faster. But I still think you could reasonably have done that before 2210, even if you'd just been a bit more just kind of careful up front straight away. So I personally think I really like the rogue servitors. I think they're hilarious. I'm not so keen on the others. I mean, like, I vaguely like the idea of like the murder bots gaining the Unity by killing things. But I can take them or leave them, because I think that's a bit of a boring mechanism. I think this one's much more interesting. I think this one's much, much more interesting. And I like the idea that obviously, because you're not actually trying to murder things, you're just, you know, you're fairly nice. Materialist, you might actually be able to form a robot and materialist federation against the rest of the world, which is pretty bloody cool, I would say. You know what, let's just wrap up this particular playthrough by also just going into observe mode quickly and seeing what else was actually out in the galaxy close by to us. So I'm not actually going to be, we're not going to be seeing this again. We've got the archivists over here, Fallen Empire there. You'll be the materialist lads, I'm guessing, aren't you? Font of knowledge, is that your... That's your planet. Why can't I see what's on you? There it is. Yes, there you are. So these guys are indeed they're the materialist Fallen Empire right there. So we've got the Font of Knowledge there and all their ring worlds and what have you dotted about there. We've also got, they just check the actual, I assume the machines do actually bother spawning in as well. Hang on, where are, you just go over to the, relative power. Just stagger that up there. And we've got, actually no. Okay, this is the first time I've seen this. They haven't... Oh, hang on, no. Yes, they have. They have, actually. Relative power just up at the top there. I thought they hadn't spawned, but they totally did spawn. Relative power up to the top, please. They just laid it out weirdly. Yeah, we've got military stationaries, keepers of knowledge, holy guardians. We do need to have the prime hub, the machine intelligence. So, I think these guys must spawn. I think they're... Actually, maybe they're not even considered part of the number of Fallen Empires, because they're not listed in the same colour with the yellow. So maybe they're considered like a separate thing that doesn't count towards the the counter Fallen Empires, because they do seem to be treated a little bit differently. Maybe they're just like, you know, they show up like the Leviathan show up, which is they don't really count towards the Fallen Empire. They're just a separate thing. I'm genuinely not sure. So those guys apparently do indeed show up too. It's the little... There you are. There you are. Hello, Prime Hub. Good old Prime Hub over there. Lovely, lovely guys there. But yes, that there is Stellaris Synthetic Dawn. I just wanted to quickly just, you know, show this off while we were actually here. Just, you know, as I had it early, I just thought it might be fun. Maybe we'll do something with this at some point or other. I'm not planning to jump into a new, like, live stream series with this, but I just thought it might be fun to show this off. Coming up in just a few minutes, we will have Skyrim. Big episode not to be missed. Claire's looking at me like she's got something to throw in before we wrap things up here.
Well, you know, the new sponsorship thing started today, and we had a few people sign in during the stream.
Yes.
I was wondering if you wanted to, like, shout out everybody's name real quick at the end, because, you know, or if you wanted to...
Can we actually see them in one place?
Yes, I have a list.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't say that without a list.
Thank you very much to Matt Grice, Weston Rigby, Mika720X, Ollie3, Mark Superman, Fred Johnson, Vinnie Morrison, Melvin Mellon, good name, I like Melvin Mellon, Daniel Wim, Mr. Flapjack1, CPU, Purple Heart / Neptune, Patrick Scully, Sir Roderick, Quincy Von Thunderbottom, the Magnificent High King of Australia, Arthur Holdstvud, Arthur, Sentinel Baron, PhD Peppermore, of bloody course, Keegan Wire, and John Morganroth. Thank you very much indeed. Because a few people signing in means we can actually have custom emojis. So, by Sunday, we'll actually have some custom emojis. I'll chat to the Discord guys about that, see what we can potentially whip up for you. So, that is coming up on Sunday when we are doing a great big heat signature thing. And then, beyond that, on the weekend after that, we have got some Total War coming in. Exact details to follow. But yes... In the meantime, we have got Stellaris coming up momentarily, and thank you all so very much for joining me as we had a quick look here at the Rogue Servitors, who I think up... You tried to get attention for some reason.
No, I just said cough quick.
Yes, fine. It was okay. Next to most of our streams, it was quick. Damn it! You know what? Do you know how I know I'm serious? It's because I've just put the goodbye screen on. Yeah, that way you know I'm flipping serious. We haven't missed any. You haven't missed any super chats, right? You've given everyone a lovely shout out there.
No, but Fleshy Meatbag changed their name to you know go with the stream, and they were saying, oh, my name didn't change in the list.
Beautiful.
That's because I wrote the list down when the sponsorship happened to make sure we could shout out everybody. But yeah.
Yes, but in the meantime, I've been John.
I've been Claire.
This has been Many a True Nerd, and thank you all so very much for joining us on this quick little look at Stellaris Synthetic Dawn, and particularly the Rogue Servitors, who, as far as I'm concerned, are bloody hilarious. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Death to all meat bags.